Yeah, no, I had a good time. Well, and then this morning was fun too. Like I kind of had dreams of the sort. I mean, I'm not really hiding this stuff from my stream, so, but I had kind of dreams that I met with like a photographer and that I was taking, like saucy boudoir pictures for a partner or whatever. And then I woke up and, I took a really nice long like bath before bed and, put on some cozy unders before I went to sleep, and I woke up and I was like, wow, bro, like I had the faux fur comforter and, the animals there, and I was feeling cute as a button. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take some saucy pictures.
Good. That's exactly what you should do. I'm fucking proud of you.
We're on episode 12 already.
Are we? Wow. I feel so honored that I've been here for 3 of them.
3 of them? Well, 2.5.
Well,
sorry, buddy. Gotta poke the fun.
Nah, you're right. I learned though.
Will you say something for me? There you go. Just tell me a story.
I set like 3 alarms last night as I was going to bed because I had originally skipped my 6 a.m. wake up.
Yeah.
So I reset my bedtime to 10, but I was like, you know what? I don't want to do Bo like this. Let me set like 3 more alarms.
Nice. Yeah,
I ended up waking up at like 9 o'clock anyway.
Oh hell yeah! So you had a little bit extra time.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I didn't. I woke up at like 9:55. I went to bed at like 6 a.m. Woke up at like 9:55, and I was like, well, and then the aforementioned. So then and then I set a 911 alarm for 10:30. Like, if you're not up, you fucking should be. What the fuck?
You should be. Wake the fuck up.
Right. And then that went off, and I was like, all right, maybe it's time to go ahead and start shifting gears here.
Let's go do the things.
Hell yeah. I love episode 2 is going to be quite interesting. It's not going to be talking about because last time we talked about the benefits and the toughness of, like romantic love. And then we kind of touched on love for what you do and self-love a little bit. But this is going to be a little bit more romantically oriented. And like we talked about a little bit earlier, I do want to spend a lot more time elaborating on the whole self-love thing.
I do too. Yeah, it's important.
Cool.
Okay, I see stream is live, yeah?
Yeah, you should see, if you want to make sure the feed looks good, there's a timer on the top right of stream starting.
Yes. Oh, okay. Dope.
Yeah, and then I added all the social links, of just doing things and stuff.
Hell yeah. Look at your fucking, what is this screen called? I want to call it a bumper, but I know it's not a bumper.
Is there there probably is an official title. I call it the intro screen, so.
Yeah, intro screen, yeah, I like your intro screen. It looks clean.
Thanks.
And it's very purple.
Yeah, that's cool, man. This is like a medieval, they called it faux fire.
The fucking glow.
Yeah. And then they're like, hey, this is how you change the hue and shit. What's up, Dragon Slayer? Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, Dragon Slayer. I love you.
You're gonna make Dragon Slayer blush.
Did I show you my purple squid?
No, show me the purple squid. Hold up, let me switch over to Discord here. Oh my god, it's adorable.
I got it for Christmas. It's a squishmallow too, so it's like very, very huggy and very wonderful. Since we were on the and my Pedialyte today is purple in your honor.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I love the theme. I should have wore purple.
I heard that fat rip, man.
You heard what?
Nothing.
That's what I thought.
Oh no, Bo. Allergies worst. Take some Benadryl.
Spring in Colorado is a real killer when it comes to that pollen.
That's right. That pollen mess you up from time to time.
Well, it doesn't help that my fish need to be fed pretty often.
Right? Yeah. No, absolutely. You're so sweet, Dragon Slayer.
Other person.
So there's a guy out here that keeps calling me girl with ponytail, and I finally got to the point last night. I was like, I refuse to talk to you until you actually address me by my name.
Yeah, how about you be a fucking human being?
Right.
With some fucking decency.
Well, I know he was doing it in good fun. But
yeah, he's probably trying to be coy and adorable.
Yeah. Straight white men are not the best at flirting.
Can't confirm. just because we get nervous around pretty people.
Look, there's no reason to be nervous around another human being. Every human being is just as fucked up and neurotic as the rest of us.
True.
Good morning, Torgoth. Happy Valentine's Day. I love you.
Good morning, Torgoth. What she said.
Those how are the fish?
Whew, pretty fed.
Nice and tropical.
Nice, and you could say they're floating on cloud 9.
Oh, good. Everyone loves a happy fish.
Dash of orange juice. You ready to get the show rolling?
And let's fucking send it, bro.
Oh man, I pressed the wrong mouse button.
Oh no. Torgoth, well, I'm sorry you feel like poop.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah, we all have those days.
What's up? Hello, everybody. I'm here with Bad Wolf Travels, a face that we know and love. Here again to elaborate with us on the secrets of the universe, specifically as it pertains to love.
I appreciate your faith in me that I even understand the secrets of the universe. Thank you for that.
Yeah, well, like you said, every other human is just as neurotic and fucked up and all of those other things that you said. You know.
And I think that the fact that every human on the face of the planet is neurotic and fucked up to some degree is what makes love so interesting and so challenging.
That's true. That's also a beautiful segue. I suppose I can do an intro screen. My favorite thing about doing these live is that I can just ramble with my friends, as long as I make sure I take a really deep breath before what I want to cut out and a really deep breath after what I want to cut out. Because one of the struggles that I've had with editing the show, and even though I haven't put anything on YouTube in like 2 weeks, it's actually happening, I promise. In my fucking run-on sentences, dude, like, I'll just jump from whatever I'm talking into the next subject without even a breath or a beat. And then I have to like zoom in to the finite details of the motherfucking voice track and then like, you know what I mean?
Right. It's okay. You just get passionate and you get excited when you're talking about things that you care about.
It's true. It's true. It's the whole reason I'm like, hey, we should start a talk show.
Good morning, Kashuna. You're beautiful and I love you. Happy Valentine's Day.
What she said. I'm just gonna piggyback off of your electric morning energy.
Thank you. I don't understand why I have so much energy, but
the Pedialyte. It's 100% the Pedialyte. If you're curious.
Electrolyte. It's what plants crave.
And we are, after all, just plants made of meat.
That's right.
Meat plants.
Big ball of Jello, of bacon Jello floating in plant juice.
There you go. I like to call it my skin shackles.
Skin shackles. That's better than mortal coil.
Oh yeah, good point. I do like that too.
All right, do your intro.
Oh yeah. Welcome to the show where we just get sidetracked constantly. But the people who watch already knew that, and that's what brings them back. Welcome.
That's why they're here.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we'll continue to attract new people who are like, whoa, look at these people. They're just as fucked up and neurotic and all of those other things you said as we are.
Sweet callback, bro. Sweet callback.
Awesome. All right. Well, welcome everybody to Sunday Tea with Bowborne and the Archers. I, of course, am your host, Bowborne. We have our wonderful friend and guest, Bad Wolf Travels here. We're ready to talk about love. We only need the Archers here, and as you can see in chat, we're already ready to go. So let's go ahead and catapult into our subject. We're going to call back the segue that you just mentioned. Do you want to say it again, or?
About the fact that every single person on this planet has a different experience and different context that makes them fucked up and neurotic. There is no shame in it, and it is what makes love, romantic or otherwise, callback, so satisfying, so complicated, and so worth the struggle.
Was that the conclusion?
I'm gonna be honest, I was gonna go back and watch the last episode last night to like do my homework and be a good girl, but
Silly goose, it was a Saturday.
Yeah. As Panic at the Disco once said, whoa, it's Saturday night.
Speaking of love, I love that reference. We're just gonna spend the entire episode saying how we love things, and I'm totally okay with that. You know what we could do?
Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah, I wonder if I can do like a umpire's counter tab. I want a virtual one. I'm glad to know that they're only $20 on Amazon.com.
Okay.
I just wanted like a ticker. You know what I'm talking about? Like a how do I get one of those? Clicker. Virtual clicker. Come on, Google, don't let me down.
Clicker or ticker? I think you want a ticker, not a clicker.
Okay, virtual. What about a flicker? I've been to Flickr.
Would you like a sticker?
You know, I could do a sticker. What if instead I chose to pick her?
Ooh.
I had to add a word, or else it wouldn't have made sense.
If you pick her, make sure to lick her before you stick her.
Jesus, all right, you win.
Did I just violate terms of service?
Oh no, I'm sure.
Okay.
I think
this
that
is an 18 and up stream.
Exactly, and we're gonna already just proceed forward with the baseless confidence that talk shows get more leeway when it comes to raunchy stuff than the rest of the content on Twitch. So
hey, baby, sex sells.
Exactly, and if we're wrong, then we'll stream on YouTube. That's what Dr. Disrespect did, and he still makes millions. So we'll be fine.
We're not going to get into it. This is not the internet controversy episode, Bo.
It could be about how I love streaming and creating content so much that I'm willing to do anything, including overcome any obstacles that I might face, including getting banned from a platform. But you are right. I have found myself ranting more and more about the platform as I review the episode, so I probably should just reel it in. Just reel it in.
Just rein it in just a little bit.
You're
up here, buddy. Just bring it down to here. You'll
true.
be okay. So, love. I know there's a bunch of people tuning in and they're expecting us to talk about love, which is fantastic because if you look at both of our track records, we have had very interesting experiences with love.
Crushing it.
And I think that trauma and failure are things that can teach you the most. You never really learn from your successes, right? But you learn a lot from your failures or your moments where you fail to meet your expectations or have your expectations met, right?
That's true. And I want to say thanks because you really gave him the whole movie in the trailer right there. So now we can you're like, yeah, we've got a very exotic love life. And then you're like, speaking of failure. So for anybody who didn't know, we're both single.
I dogged you out like that, man. I just said track records. I was talking about past experiences.
Well, but one of the things that we were gonna highlight highly today was self-love, and we can't stress like you were saying how we can't stress enough how much a lot of that previous experience does play into our ability to love both future romantic partners and ourselves. I know I love myself a heck of a lot more after a couple of, to use your elegant words, failed relationships. And what about you? How are you feeling?
I'm kind of the same way. Like, I think it's really interesting because I think back to you and I have some very intelligent, very strong-willed, very caring friends that
True.
I remember a few people pulling me aside as I was growing up. I used to be kind of like a serial monogamous, and I would jump from relationship to relationship, and ultimately I didn't realize it at the time, even though people were telling me to my face what I was doing, was kind of like filling my free time where I was forced to get to know myself. I didn't want to do that. I wasn't comfortable with it.
Oh yeah, it was
I jumped
sticky to
from
begin with, wasn't
relationship
it?
to relationship. Yep. And I had a lot of people pull me aside and tell me, like, hey, I always thought it was a cop out, piece of advice for people to be like, hey, like, just work on yourself, like, learn to
Mm-hmm.
love yourself. I was like, nah, that's bullshit. That's like trying to make me feel better because nobody loves me. Like,
Right.
I didn't realize it at the time, but the more and more time that I spend on this planet, the more I actually recognize like the value of that piece of advice and what that actually
Right.
means.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like I love myself, especially within like the last couple years. I think I finally actually hit that stride on like, oh hey, let me actually the same amount of energy that I pour into taking care of my partner, especially since I have a lot of partners in the past that have not returned that level of energy, that investment. There was no return on that investment. I'm like, I deserve that.
True.
And if I'm not going to get that from another person, then I'm the best source of that attention and affection and energy that I crave, because
It's
I
true.
know what I need.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's um I think Tony Stark really highlighted it the best is when you can create your own power. You don't need to rely, like you're saying, on somebody else. And specifically as it relates to love, that's really powerful, because a lot of issues that I know that I've had in my relationship and that I've observed in folks who've asked for advice in their relationships was that a lot of it did stem from things such as insecurity or self-doubt or like self-deprecation. And like it's there's two things I want to address here when it comes to self-love, specifically as it pertains to a romantic partnership. And that is I also got that advice as a kid, but I took it originally as no one's going to love you unless you fully love yourself, which is we need to address specifically, because we don't want anybody to walk away from this with that idea, because that is not the
Right.
case. You are deserving of love,
As you are.
as you are, and as you continue to improve and focus and love yourself, the love that you kind of have with a romantic partner, theoretically will also increase. However, are deserving of love the way that you are right now. And go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you're good. You're good.
And the second part was that, I think that I really want to hat tip the part where you said, there was a lot of advice that was harder to follow when you were younger, because it really just sounded like it was, a cop out, somebody trying to get out of giving real advice with, and I feel like that's true for so many things, not to like bridge off onto a huge tangent here as we do, but like I when it comes to love and loving myself, that's one of those things that I couldn't learn through I couldn't be taught that information. I had to learn that information.
Mhm.
And yeah, absolutely.
Well, because I think context plays into that, and I
For
think that
sure.
one of the values of self-love in general is context. Especially like when you brought up your capacity to love and appreciate and be happy with a romantic partner,
Hmm.
I think it's setting context again. So if you don't have a clear idea of what love actually is and what it feels like and what it looks like, you can try your best, you can try your hardest, but you're still not going to even have the capacity to show that love that that other person deserves, you know?
True. Yeah, no, and I was kind of doing a little bit of, I guess, thinking on think tanking on the subject and the love languages.
Hmm.
Specifically as it relates, you and I have had previous conversations about this, like unrecorded, and in one of them, we kind of talked about how the really successful relationships that we've seen or been in, even if we're not currently successful in those relationships, it doesn't mean that it wasn't a successful relationship at one time.
Right.
The Was that people say you have to make sure you can give 100 to your relationship, and then other people are like, no, you can't give 100% to one other person, you're your own person, give 80%. And then you and I concluded, and I don't remember if we stole it from somebody, but I remember it was mostly your thoughts, so you're gonna have to give, you're gonna have to cite your
Right,
sources if you need to. Yeah. We said that no, each person needs to be capable of giving 120% of themselves to a relationship, because sometimes they might have to, because the other person sometimes might only be capable of giving that 80%. So
Right.
at the end of the day, it does take the math. The baseline math is that there needs to be 200%. It doesn't matter how you get there needs to be 200%. So
When I think
go ahead.
Yeah,
What do
and
you
I think
think?
that's a good way to look at it, because I think if you look at things within like 100% capacity, it seems a little codependent to me. Not to I'm not trying to like throw buzzwords around and like trigger people with that, but it looking at things like a relationship as 100% feels a little codependent to me, because if you think about it, if the grand sum of both of your efforts is only 100%, that means that at the end of the day you're both 50% of a person. And I think that the best, the healthiest relationships
How does
are
that math work
between
out?
two whole people,
What
200%.
what do you mean 50%?
So the 200% versus 100%,
Uh-huh.
because if you're saying that in a relationship there's 100% capacity for effort and
Like per
love
person?
per in general, like I'm talking about the relationship in or as a whole.
Okay.
So I'm saying like
Oh, I
if
see what you mean. I see what you mean.
yeah,
You're saying if the overall containing capacity of relationship is 100%, then 200% in 200% as it relates to the people is only 100% as it relates to the relationship. So only 50% of the relationship. I see what you're saying.
so I like you using that 200% number is what I'm getting at there.
Ah, I see. Well, yeah, and I definitely did so intentionally to avoid that, right? Because I think that it's obviously balance. I preach balance in all things in at all times. That's the only thing I say, right? Every time I die in a fucking video game, well, that's balance. That's the way that it is. You know, have to have some humility pie with that victory chicken dinner. So the
Right. Ooh, that was good.
Thank you. Feel free to put it on a book. I consent. The 100% per person feels right to me because, you know, we're gonna really talk about it a lot this episode. But I think that as a capacity, I have 100%. As a person, I have a capacity for 100% romantic energy. I'm gonna save at least 50% of that. At least 50% of that for myself.
Absolutely. I,
Eh, eh,
ooh, yeah. Yes, I like that. We're doing good math here.
Right, right. And that's another reason I like to use the 200% because it gives now here's where it gets really fun. Where you say you need to be willing to give 120% to another person. These are all really flexible numbers in terms of how they can fluctuate, if that makes sense. Could they hear me back here? Do I have to go back and say all that again? I was editing, and before I fixed the noise gate on my mic, if I got too far from it, it would just cut all the audio. So you could see my mouth moving, but you couldn't fucking hear shit.
Oh no.
And I was like, well, maybe Kim was right from many episodes ago. I should just caption all my shit. That would, like, not only would that be a way to avoid being ableist, but also I could actually consume my own content.
Do you really, as long as it takes you to edit episodes, do you really want to take the time to caption all that?
that's the whole fucking point that we talked about, bro. Is
Yep.
exactly that. Like I think that there's not enough people appreciate the time and effort that gets put into YouTube videos. Once I started editing my own videos, I had a whole new appreciation for folks who've gone viral and maintain content creation on YouTube. Because doing Twitch, I've done Twitch off and on for years, right?
Mhm.
And it's its own beast. There's a lot that goes into it. But YouTube is this whole other thing. Like with the Twitch, I look at the blue lights on. I just do what I do normally, which is ramble like a madman while I play video games, and then talk to the camera sometimes. And sometimes I'll make sure they can see the holes that I'm avoiding in my wall. But other times, so like on YouTube, it's different because then, you know, most people hate their own voice. That's like a common thing, right? People are like, oh, I can't do it. I hate my own voice. Yeah, us too, bro. That's like a human condition. We get you.
Same.
Right. Good call out. But yeah, so you have to listen to your own voice like 50 million fucking times, and then you have to second guess the order that you put all of those things in and the jokes that you made, and then you have to watch like the reactions that you have to things, and then like, you know, the worst I think for me of all of these shitty things about editing that make it a lot more a lot more difficult than people give it credit for is the fact that sometimes when you make a joke in the video, you cringe because you immediately in your brain think of a joke that could have been better in that situation. It's like having those arguments with yourself or with the person in the shower, but actually bearing witness to the exact conversation that you had led up to that point and feeling like
Exactly what I was about to say.
yes, like a fucking idiot for not like actually getting that in the moment. You're like, why now, Bo? Why now do you have the capacity for that fucking humor? But then it's not in town. It's out for the weekend. It's in the mountains skiing with its family. Like, what the fuck?
It's feeding the fish.
There you go. Talk about callbacks, right?
Hey, I do what I can. Yeah, no, so I think, and I think you made an interesting segue, intentional or not. So I
Who
think
knows?
that is a perfect analogy for the difficulties of self-love, because I think content creation is absolutely a labor of love.
Uh-huh.
And I think that that's a perfect like microcosm of the struggle that we have of learning to love ourselves, right? Because you sit there and you think about like, oh, well, and I'm sure everyone's done it, where you sit there after an interaction or after, a night out or a party or just a phone call, you're like, oh man, why did I say that? Or like, I should have done that. Or, you start thinking about like, oh, did I like, what are all these things that I could have done different? Like you start to get this whole imposter syndrome, when you're sitting there thinking about yourself and you're trying to work on loving yourself. It's the same thing as sitting there doing, long-term content creation, I think, where you're looking at everything and you're like picking everything apart, and you finally just have to get to that point where you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna send it. And sometimes that is what you have to do when you're starting to learn to love yourself. You have to just take those moments, those little victories, and kind of build on top of that.
Yeah, well said. Well fucking said. And that's a really good example of like actual actionable advice when we get into the beast that is you have to love yourself. You really have to, self-love, like you said. That's something that everybody generalizes because especially folks who have the privilege of experiencing it or like being farther in the journey towards discovering how it feels have versus folks who haven't quite experienced that yet. And I see that with a lot of young people, and I think that's like an age and experiencing. I can't say it's limited to age because a lot of people learn this shit way earlier through circumstances outside their control, unfortunately. but it's not limited to age. But the point is that a lot of folks are here the advice like we were talking about self-love, but I think that what you highlighted was a really good in-depth look into kind of some of the ways that we can actually accomplish that, so that was a good SOP into the
Practice of loving yourself.
The beast that is loving yourself.
I think we do ourselves dirty a lot of the times when we're looking at appreciating ourselves and showing us, because
I do, but my doctor said it's healthy.
I think this is the first time on your show I've been speechless.
Yes.
But where's the ticker?
Hey, do I get a coin for that?
Yeah, here. You get a soda can tap. There you go, buddy.
Thank you. I wish I had a soda can. How crazy would it be if you like handed that to me and I like pulled it off the camera like, oh my god, thank you.
Well, we can coordinate something like that in the future.
I'll put it in post.
Yes, perfect. I love it. So I think we do ourselves dirty. We sell ourselves short because we when we're in relationships with other people, right, that we care about, we're willing to, for the most part, willing to like put in that effort. And everyone that's been in a long-term relationship will tell you that love is work, right? Like it's not just a thing that happens one day and then you're set for the rest of your life. It takes work. Like
Yeah, that's like
you're
the Bible
married
verse and
for,
shit.
right? What? Yeah. Oh yeah. Thanks, Philippians. Um, but you if you're in a relationship with someone else and you just do like the bare minimum, or you don't put any effort in, like eventually that relationship's gonna end or it's gonna go sour, right?
Yeah.
So when we're in relationships with other people, we put in that work, we put in that dedication, we
We
sit through
deposit
fights and
into
we
that
work on.
romantic bank account.
But then when we turn around and we look at ourselves, we don't a lot of people don't seem to make that connection that like if you're learning to love yourself, love is work. Like it's not just something that clicks in your head one day and you're fucking set. Like you have to there I still have struggles with it. There's days where I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm starting to feel sorry for myself for a whole bunch of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes work, that same
Yeah.
way that you're gonna try to be a better partner for that person that you love. Try to be a better partner for your fucking self too.
Right. And remember on the days, exactly like you were saying, that it is, and I think to add on to that, there's a lot of folks who I've seen say, who beat themselves up after they've done a really good job about loving themselves and appreciating themselves and what they've accomplished or where they are in their life. And then they do have a spout of one of those, really bad days where they beat themselves up or really feel the imposter syndrome. I just want to say to those folks that like, that's okay. Like this is as much as love is a spectrum, as much as it fluctuates, which is the whole up to 120%, because the only person can be 80 thing romantically. It's worth pointing out that like it fluctuates how much we're capable of loving ourselves, and the amount of arrows that we have in our romantic quiver kind of sometimes they get low. So that means if we don't have arrows for love, that could mean love for ourselves, that could mean love for the people around us, and that's okay. And it's not going to stay that way. It
Absolutely.
will come back.
I don't think it's ever a bad thing to fail. It's never a bad thing to fall on your face as long as when the time is right, you pick yourself back up.
Right.
It's completely okay. Like nobody is perfect. And that's another thing too. Like we put so much pressure on ourselves. You know, our own standards for ourselves, I think, are worse than anybody else in the world,
Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
And I think that you know, it's completely natural. Remember that you're a human being. Remember that not every day is going to be your best day. Oh, you know, yeah, Sashuna, that's a very, very good point. The acronym of fail is just your first attempt in learning.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, so yeah, be kind to yourself in those moments. Like the same way that you're kind to your family or your siblings or your partners or whoever means something, or your dog or your cat, be kind to yourself. You deserve that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. One of the things, oh, that would be a good example of where I need to take a breath before starting a new sentence. One of the things that I really enjoy that happens in our friends group, in social media these days, mainly because of the conditions the world are in, but I have seen it kind of lend itself into in-person social situations too. Before all that, is that anytime we catch ourselves or one of our friends talking shit about themselves, we make them follow it up with two nice things.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
really, really enjoy that about our friends group because I feel like it's a really good example of, okay, I get that you feel that way, but also you are these things. Remember that they're not mutually exclusive. And I see a lot of toxic positivity when it comes to self-love. People refusing to acknowledge, kind of like y'all beautifully said, the failures, acronym or not in this case. And I think that there's a lot of like smoke up the ass when it comes to like you once you feel self-love, you're never gonna not love yourself again. Like
Not true.
you've reached the and don't get me wrong, there are thresholds that once you reach a certain point, like you have an established understanding of yourself. Like once you've reached a certain amount of self-love, you can get back to that level easier than it was to most of the time easier than it was to get there the first time, because you've already made those discoveries. You've already, the vines are not as thick as they were the first time you cut yourself through
Right.
the jungle. So yes, there is like something to be said for established learning that you already have, but it doesn't mean that it's going to stay there, right? Vines grow
Right.
back.
Yep.
And
Yep.
wow, that's like a shockingly good metaphor for the
I
situation.
like that. That's good.
Shit, I'm gonna keep it.
That's going in my quiver, man.
Oh, okay, I see what you did there. Shockingly good metaphor into the quiver.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think the tricky bitch about self-love here is that there's only so many different ways we can say, "Hey, you're awesome. Stop being a dickhead to yourself." You know what I
Well,
mean?
and I think it's a really good a good point too, that you know, there's never any shame in leaning on anyone, right? That's another thing that I love about the that practice in our friends group is, you know, it's and the people that deserve to be in your life are the ones that are going to be able to like catch you every now and then. Like
Mm-hmm.
every now and then, you're just going to need someone to be there, be like, hey, you tripped for a second, I got you, don't worry
Right.
about it.
Right.
Um,
And
so
those
yeah,
of
I
you out
think
there who hate accepting help, I know you're in the chat. I know who you are, and I'm looking right at you. Hold on, I'm gonna press a button. Doesn't work.
oh, are you trying to don't dog someone out? Come on.
I wasn't gonna. Oh, that Sashuna. That defeats the whole ass purpose of us trying to not say anything. I hope he feels better. The point
Oh,
is that yes, you need to understand that, like you was put very eloquently. People are going to be there to help pick you back up when you stumble. For those people who hate accepting help, know that you do the same thing for other people. Like
yes,
as our friends group says all of the time, it comes out in the wash.
that's
and,
right.
and
That's right.
so don't feel bad about other people putting their hand out if you're tripping, because those people who do that know that you would do the exact same for them if they were the person tripping.
It's like in any relationship, because I think I think that love, when we talk about love, I know most people think like, oh, you know, romantic love with a sexual partner. or I know that there are folks out there that don't really do the sexual love thing, and I think that is a perfect example. Like it's love. When other people are trying to help you, that's why we evolved community as a survival tactic. Like there is a reason that we're all genetically programmed to look for some community, is because we need that,
Right.
like that, and that love, whether it's romantic or just an interpersonal. Like I love my friends. I love my friends more than I've loved some romantic partners that I've had. Okay. um and that's an expression of love right there. And it's work. You have to work on it, because I'm the same way. Like, I hate asking for help. I hate being on the receiving end of someone else's effort. But of course, I'm the one that turns around. Like you were saying, I do the exact same thing. I'm like, hey, let me help you out. Let me, whether it's monetarily or emotionally, or, oh, you got to move apartments, yeah, let me help you move apartments, no worries. um and that is an expression of love, and it takes work to learn to receive that.
Right. That's true. Well, and I think a lot of that does come from, we kind of talked about it a little bit last week when it came to Torgoth and I, Torgoth of Dundrum, once a humble farmer, now ruler of his own lands, took
Name drop.
the time out of his very special day
Ooh.
to join us on the show. And we talked about how there's a big difference in mentality for generational gaps.
Mhm.
And fuck, I spent so much effort into remembering Torgoth's exact name, I forgot my point.
We were talking about accepting love and generational gaps, and I'm thinking
Um,
maybe like the generation that raised us in part.
mm, mm. So thank you. So the millennials are quite a self-deprecating generation. I think that one of the big things that we developed, that I see widespread through our generation, obviously I want to point out that there are exceptions. There are people that don't feel this way who are millennials. It doesn't mean we're talking about you. Here's a cookie.
Right.
The we all developed some pretty sophisticated self-deprecating humor, I assume at this point, as a defense mechanism, because if we said especially because we all were pretty impressionable about around the time the 8 Mile came out, and we saw at the end when Slim Shady really shut down that guy by talking all that shit about himself first, and we're like, well, shit, if we can say the meanest things about ourselves possible, then nobody else stands a fucking chance.
Exactly. If I can get in front of it, you can't hurt me.
Right, and that probably really lent itself in opposite to self-love, like that really
That's
put
very
that
simple.
put us a lot of paces back for the start of the race when it came to how to take care of ourselves. And that really does explain why a lot of us now coming into our 30s are just now, to use a word I'm not sure I feel about, blossoming. And see what I mean? You feel the confliction there, huh? Like, you're like, it does illustrate the point. It's like, sure, it is an eloquent word, but also like it's been used creepily before. So we're like,
Well, problematic, but you know what? Yeah, but in this world, like we're getting to a point in this world where everything that has a positive connotation also has problematic
well, it's
connotations.
true, and that's just
There's
another
barely
shout
anything
out.
to say that doesn't.
It's true. It's true. That's another shout out to balance too. One of the beautiful opportunities I've had as a now off and on for a long time content creator is, you get to experience adversity in other ways, and on the internet specifically, you get to try new things in terms of how to encounter it. Have you ever seen there was a viral like snippet of this guy who was talking shit about people at the Special Olympics in terms of being like less than as far as athletes, and Arnold Schwarzenegger got on there and replied, and I obviously have no way of knowing if it was actually Arnold Schwarzenegger, but the point is that they said that, hey, like, I could ban you and block you and just remove you from this post, but this is like a learning opportunity for you.
Absolutely.
And
Good
like,
morning, Alicia.
morning, Alicia. It's like a learning opportunity for you. So I want to let you know, first of all, that these people are incredible, and here's why, and here's all the great things that they accomplish. They work, like 10 times harder to achieve the same result that other people might, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then told the guy, like, and this is the part that stuck with me, and I've actually, it cuts deep, not just for myself, but anytime I use it for a person. So it's like the special Hawkeye arrow that I only press to rotate to that arrowhead, like when things get really nasty, right? Oh, good. I was like making sure that I distanced the joint from my pillow far enough. But he said,
You've almost gotten shot on feed. Let's not burn your apartment
oh
down
my
on
God,
feed.
bro. I went back and watched the video, but if you look at the stream, you can see me getting a little bit too close to my pot filter with a blunt in my mouth.
No.
It didn't go all the way through, fortunately. So like it was only a small defeat. But to digress, the memorable part of the post was that he said, and if you continue this hateful behavior, like clearly this is a product of your trauma or you not knowing enough about the world. And if you continue this path, the world will forget about you because it will not remember your name. You even people who are doing truly heinous shit, people remember the heinous shit, but they don't remember who the fuck did it. And that's as it should be. Like if you continue to, then that's kind of how, the reason I bring this up is because it's a super helpful tool for content creators to deal with like negative comments, or in this case, like people who pop in chat and start getting real ignorant. So like a lot of times I'm the kind of person that's just going to ban you, right? Like clearly you're just looking for a response. I'm not even going to read your shit out loud. I'll glance over at it, I'll read it, and then I'll just ban you, and then I'll continue doing what I'm doing. But sometimes, right. But sometimes when you're playing in a game with somebody, you have to spend the round with them. And there was a guy, there are the people who talk that shit, who get that speech, and then they're cool the rest of the match. They even give you a GG at the end. To relate this to the overarching theme of the show is that everybody is in different stages of their self-love journey. Obviously there are folks who are in similar stages than others, if not the same, but like, once you get to a certain point in self-love, it really becomes evident when another person is less so, like if they're not that far in the journey, because you start to see, you start to recognize a lot of the shit that a person puts out into the universe, and that you may have also put out when you were in that stage into the universe. When
you didn't know better.
Right. And I see a lot of folks who are ready to just like use that power and that information to just crush these people into the ground because it feels good, right? Like that's a simple pleasure in life, is shutting down the trolls. But you could also be contributing to the overall difficulty of their self-love journey too, right? Like that's
absolutely, if
you're going to make that choice, understand that you might have that impact as well, but you're going to
facilitate something, like take a beat to think about what you're facilitating.
Right, exactly. And sometimes, unfortunately, that kind of insight doesn't come until after the situation is passed. I know there's definitely situations where I've handled it when I was, engaged with a person in direct verbal internet combat, and who wasn't necessarily, who was very clearly not that far on their self-love journey and taking it out on everybody around him. And I definitely didn't make it any fucking easier, right? Like I didn't give him the Arnold Schwarzenegger, like be a better person, and if you're not, you suck. Yeah, instead, it's dangerous because you can see by a lot of the ways that they react what their insecurities are, and then if you know what a person's insecurities are, like you can say things that actually fucking hurt, right? And like I say this all the time, and people argue with me sometimes, but I'll say it till the day I die on this hill. Words are weapons. It doesn't mean they're always weapons. It doesn't mean they always hurt, but they can. Right. And it's almost beautifully, like you were saying earlier, we're at the point now where anything anybody says, somebody's probably offended by. There's, what is it? How many people are on the planet?
I like 5.8 billion.
Guess what? We have the world at our fingertips.
Let's Google it.
Let's see here.
Welcome to Sunday Tea with Bowborne, where we Google things.
I would like to point. Okay, I'm going to give people a bit of a fun Easter egg, a good incentive to watch the 12 plus hours of Sunday Tea there is on YouTube right now. Sometimes I will, I do an incognito tab for my Firefox when I'm streaming, right? Because I don't want to save the cookies, first of all, of what I'm Googling, for obvious reasons. Right, because Conrad will be on to us.
Yep.
Enrique.
Good morning, Conrad. Happy Valentine's Day. I love you.
Enrique's still in the job, believe it or not. Still yes, he's the only one that's lasted more than a month. And happy Valentine's Day. I love you, Enrique. Anyway, the Easter egg is if you go back and watch, sometimes I'll click on the search bar in the incognito mode to just because my default search engine is Google, so I just type whatever I'm looking for in the address bar and it Googles it for me. But I go to google.com specifically because sometimes when I click into the address bar, it shows some shit that I've clicked on in the past, and like some of it's pretty saucy.
I see search history.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not
just
even
a friendly
necessarily
reminder, everyone: clear your cache and cookies.
clear your cache and cookies often. You know, not only will that save you from an embarrassing Easter egg on a YouTube video, but also your IT guy will fucking love you. And let me tell you, can I just vent for a minute about IT guy problems that are not really even related? It is related to love because I love my job, even though it has shortcomings, such as if somebody has a very minor issue with their computer, you know what the first thing they say is?
Call IT.
Okay, like what's the first thing they say to IT?
It's not working.
You just triggered me on a whole separate level, dude. That's not what I was getting to, but you're right. They absolutely do that. Oh my God. Here's another tidbit for the world. If you say it's not working, I hate you. And all IT guys hate you because the only thing you're doing is telling me something I already know. If you're on my fucking messenger right now, I already know it's not working. If I see the notification, oh, this person's computer is not working. Like if you're like, hey, this isn't working, I'm like, I fucking know, or we wouldn't be talking right now. Okay. Like it's you can, yes, you can say it's not working because XXY, and then we're like, oh yeah, we got you, no problem. But if you just say it's not working, we're not friends. I mean, that's really harsh, but we're beefing. What I was gonna say is a lot of people, as soon as they're having a computer issue, will immediately say, I need a new laptop. I need a new machine. I need a new workstation. You're like, well, have you restarted it? And then they're like, yes. And then you actually remote into their computer. You check their computer uptime, and it's been up for like, oh, I think the
5
worst,
years.
the worst one was for me was I'll never forget this number for as long as 564 days. And we had various other troubleshooting in the past from like, hey, did you restart? And I just took their word for it. And then finally they had enough buildup of issues. I was like, this is weird, especially since you've restarted. And then, you know, this is where imposter syndrome can be helpful because it pops into my head and it says, what if he hasn't restarted? What if he's been lying to you this whole time? And you're like, that's a really good point, Fred and Velma. Let me take a peek. And then I did, and I was like, holy shit, which was really, that's the thing is you can't give that imposter syndrome any victories because then it runs rampant. Like, right. What else has been lying to me? But yeah, that's my quick.
There's been imposter syndrome and intuition.
Okay. You know, you know what? You know what? I'm going to write that down because that's what I forgot to write down last time and it just came back to me. I want to talk about, intuition, and I think you're the person who put me onto this, so give you credit where it is first. But intuition and how intuition is probably just our past lives.
Oh yeah. I think there's something there.
Hold on, I got to go over to the episode list.
It's like that context that you're talking about, you know, when you see other people out there doing aggressive or like hateful shit, and you're like, oh, well, I recognize like where they're at because I've been there before, you know.
Well, so what does that say about empathy, do you think, especially as it relates to self-love, so that this is technically on topic? Like, do you think that the reason why some of us are more empathetic than others is because we've experienced more in our past lives, so we can actually put into perspective? Like, people with a higher emotional intelligence, do you think that those folks have just been around the block a few more times and seen more shit?
I think it's possible, if not probable, honestly. But I think that empathy requires effort and awareness. So I think because empathy itself is like, by definition, it's being able to understand that like somebody else is experiencing something even if you don't have the context yourself. So I think maybe like your past life or past lives experiences maybe give you a greater capacity for empathy, but I think the act of empathy itself is like
Like in the moment.
It's your real-time intelligence, I guess, or your real-time like mental agility, you know.
I use that against somebody, mental agility, and not necessarily. Yeah, it kind of was against somebody. Sorry to interrupt. Go on.
No, you're good. You're good. That's remarks complete on that one.
Lucky timing. By the way, 7.67 billion people.
That's a lot of people.
I don't remember why we needed that information, but we have it now.
We were talking about I mean, obviously, we were talking about how many people there are on the planet. Oh, talking about these days, like everyone's
Well played.
we're on it today, man. We were talking about how everyone because, and I think what we were getting to was because there's so many people on the planet, so many different like life paths that people take. Everyone's gonna have different context and like different, traumas and different
True. Okay, I do remember
like
that now.
backgrounds. So it's very hard to say anything without being offensive to someone.
Because there's 7.67 billion people on the planet.
Yep, yep. And I'm pretty sure that there is no. I hate the idea of blanket answers.
Yeah,
I've gone off on that rant like so
absolutes.
much over the
Hey,
last month.
yeah, hell yeah. Well, one of the ways that I like to think about it is only a Sith deals in absolutes, which I mean, love. I love pointing out every time I say that how ironic it is that in of itself is an
Is
absolute.
an absolute. Yep.
Yeah,
It's over Anakin. I have the high ground.
yeah, yeah.
Moral high ground.
I'll give you the real eye-opening experience for this, and this is on the topic of kind of love for friends and how they'll kind of pick you back up if you stumble a little bit. I had a friend who sat me down and we were having a conversation, and in a they kind of took all decorum and like consideration off the table when they were like telling me this, which I needed to hear at the time, so I'm glad they did. But we were talking about something, and I just said that like only a Sith deals in absolutes. Like no, I was like no, I don't like to talk about absolutes. To exactly what you just said. And then the very next topic that we had was how like the reason why people fight the good fight and why people are actually like believing in good and actually dare to hope is because we hope that one day the world will be better than it is right now. And some of us dare to dream that the world will be a place with few issues as opposed to the many issues that it has, because clearly and then I said something along this lines is a perfect world is not possible where everything is great and there's no problems. And the person just yelled and braided me in my face, which I didn't get a chance to elaborate because they didn't give me a chance to breathe. But the point is, they said, hey, like you just said, you don't like absolutes, you don't like dealing with that, you don't like to say things or like you said, make blanket statements, but you just said that's never going to happen. They didn't let me elaborate to say, I just mean that life is balanced and there's going to be good with the bad. And if everything was great, then that greatness in and of itself would create a problem because the universe is balanced and that's how energy and matter works. So I didn't get a chance to say any of that, but they did bring up a good point in that you pick one or the other, right? So ever since, every time I try and think of a situation as it relates to blanket statements, like you were saying, I have to remember, like, is this something that could be a blanket statement? Or because like, maybe some of them exist for a reason, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So who knows? Anyway, I don't remember why I
Talking about love for friends
springboarded
and
off of that.
yeah.
I
Talking
don't.
about love for friends, and I think that's a very good. I think that's a good like little nugget to dig into for a second.
Oh yeah.
Is I think that we have some Disney brain, right? People get Disney brain, and we think that oh well, love means that everything's happy and everything's wonderful, and it's just like sunshine and fucking rainbows. And I think that one thing that we have a hard time accepting is that sometimes love means conflict. Sometimes love requires you to be willing to hear things that you don't want to hear or hear things in a way that you don't want to hear,
Hmm.
and being willing to I think moments of conflict are what really are the test of love, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because there's multiple tests of love, but moments of conflict are your opportunity to really not only reap the benefits of that love, but to experience the capacity or the strength that love has, because you can be in that moment, you can experience all these negative emotions, and once that moment has passed, things are okay. Things are still okay.
Yeah, that's a really good
Yeah.
point.
So I think tough love is a part of love.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And there's something to be said about one of the the best ways to break a cycle and to grow, especially as it pertains to self love, is to interrupt the cycle that you already had that kept you there to begin with. And full credit to where credit's due. That's not my idea. I got that from a really awesome, like helpful, like corporate education thing I got as part of one of my old operations manager job. But it's really good advice. And it is like, and it's given in a lot of like, ex anonymous groups too, is that like you have to recognize the first. I'll give an example for alcoholics. They'll say the first step is admitting that you have a problem. But that is just a really specific and tailored way to say, like, identify by simply observing that there is an issue. You are now aware of that issue, and at least for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but at least for me, the awareness of an issue does lend itself to helping to solve that issue, just knowing that it exists, because I don't want it to exist anymore if it's causing me like enough issues. I know I said issues like 16 times, but
No, but so I think it's really cool. One of the aspects of my job um, is identifying knowledge gaps. Like it's literally doctrinally written in the the processes that define the critical tasks to my job. One of those steps is identifying intelligence gaps, and I think that it's very hard to do because it requires you to sit there and say, okay, well, what do I not know?
yeah, yeah.
And it's difficult. Like it's a very metacognitive, fucking process. And I think that what you're talking about is like identifying our intelligence gaps in our own life.
Yeah. Well, and the reason I brought that up is because it is an elaboration on the staple that is tough love. Because sometimes we need a person to have tough love to help us with that interruption. Because part of the cycle that kept us there in the beginning was the denial that there was a thing that was happening, or us justifying our own actions. The ends justified the means, or whatever the case may be, when we have that violent interruption to the process that we had before, especially if it's from somebody that we love. That it makes it a little bit easier to ignore the feeling that the person is attacking you or wants to hurt you, or that these are baseless claims. And because you love that person, it makes it a little bit easier to stop and think, wait, maybe this person's onto something.
Right. Well, and it's just like if I call you for tech support and I say it's not working, you're like, well, fucking Roger. But like, what's the problem?
Mm-hmm.
And it's sometimes you need someone to be like, hey, clearly
No
you're doing
shit.
something fucked up here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, yep. And I think it's our knee jerk reaction when someone that we value, someone that we care about, um, because my belief is that love is an expression of value, perceived or actual. So when someone that we value, someone that we love, comes at us and tells us things that, because anytime, it's a shock to the system,
Mm-hmm.
and someone can even do it in a really gentle way.
Which we'll
Someone,
come back to. Please help me
right.
circle back to that.
Okay. But I think our knee jerk reaction is like, oh, I love this person, I trust this person. This hurts. Like, why? It's like when you're walking through the house in the middle of the night and you accidentally kick your dog. Like your dog doesn't understand that you can't see him laying on the ground. Your
Right.
dog thinks that you literally woke up just to come and kick him in the head.
That makes me feel so bad because I've definitely stepped on Thing before, or like there's definitely been times where like I've elbowed him trying to get out of bed, like moving the blanket to the side, and he just catches one in the side of the face. He's like, "Ow, bro! Good morning to you too, fuckface."
I didn't wake up expecting to be personally attacked today.
Right. So that's how the day's gonna go.
Oh, we chose violence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's like one of those things. If you can have that awareness, I think that like you were saying, that awareness of like this person wouldn't be talking to me if they didn't care, right? Like they're not this, I especially if you have an established history with that person, whether it's friends, family, romantic partners, whatever. If you have that established history with that person, like you know them, you trust them, you understand their motivations, and they're coming at you sideways in your perspective, like they're not
Why?
going to say something to
Right.
you if they didn't care. They
That's
didn't
true.
wake up in the middle of the night just to kick you in the head.
Right. And if they did, they wouldn't have done anything. They probably would have just left.
Exactly. Exactly.
This conflict is hard. Nobody likes it.
Eh, No, nobody likes it.
Well,
It takes work
maybe
because love is work.
the 11 bang bangs kind of like combat in all forms.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I got a unique kind of lens into that world. You know, I feel confident even as a not member of that demographic saying that. The so the point I wanted to circle back to was we're talking about, I keep highlighting the Discord thing here and it keeps like showing like it keeps showing like all the buttons. So what I did is
I keep seeing you hover over the hang up button. I'm like, oh no.
No, he's not gonna hang. I fidget with my mouse, and I moved my Discord to the main screen. So because I have found myself, especially when I was editing, like we were talking about earlier, looking over here because that's where Discord was, and I wasn't like looking near the camera. And I was like, everybody, like you have a lovely side of your face, Bo, but like the rest of it's pretty cool too. So maybe you should look at the fucking camera. So I have my I moved Discord over here so I could see you, so I could feel like I'm talking to a person. But I also fidget with my mouse. So like I have my notepad right here and the other Twitch window right here, and like the kind of the rough like idea of what I want to do. So like if I click over to Discord and fidget with my mouse, it just hovers over the thing and it drives me fucking crazy. So I have to just be conscious not to do it.
It's an intrusive thought.
Right. So the thing that I wanted to circle back to was we're talking about tough love specifically as it relates to questioning not so much questioning somebody's intentions when they give us tough love. I think we also need to point out the other side of that, which is things to be cognizant of when you are giving tough love and whether or not you should actually be the person giving some fucking tough love. You and I kind of had a conversation last night, not to go into specifics, but we kind of had a conversation last night about how I was telling you about there's a person in my life that I think could use some tough love, that's doing some not so cool things to the people around them, but I'm just not the person to give that advice to this other person. I'm just like I don't have, there are either things that I don't have with my relationship in that person or things that I have that make it actually detrimental for me to provide those kinds of things. And
right.
I want to say the shitty thing is the only reason I know that about this relationship specifically is because I've tried to be that person in the past and it's had that effect. But I think that I took away from it the lesson that that's just how it be sometimes. Earlier I said, yeah, like you can really shut down internet trolls from verbally abusing you by saying no one's ever going to remember their name, and like people don't give a shit about them right now because they're monsters. But at the same time, like you shouldn't just say that to everybody, right? Like these were situations born out of identifying a whole bunch of other things, and then like, you know, the TLDR here is that sometimes tough love is not like, don't use what we're saying as a blanket reason to go out there and just shit on your friends just because like seriously sit down and evaluate the advice you have for a person and make sure that it's not being impacted by your own personal bias and by your own unique view of the situation.
Well, and then keeping in mind too the context, because the like situational context, because in that conversation I remember I even said, I was like, you know, sometimes people aren't in the right state to receive that kind of correction or that kind of tough love, you know.
Right.
There's a big difference between your intent and the impact. So you
Exactly.
could be coming into this being like, hey, I care about you and I want to see you do better, and you're so passionate about it that you're coming at it a little aggressively, but your intent may be to help that person. The impact doesn't always match what you're trying to do.
Right.
Like,
Right.
so yeah, I agree. Like this isn't blanket permission or blanket encouragement to just go out there and like start tearing your fucking friends apart. Like there's every relationship has a good flirt to roast ratio is the way that I say it. But
Oh yeah,
you
well
know,
said.
there's got to be there's got to be that balance. You know, you can when the time is appropriate, you can be that person that's like, hey, fucking get your shit together. But you've got to recognize that like there's also a requirement for those nurturing moments, aftercare.
Yeah. Yeah, well said.
Yep. Yep.
And like, and yeah, and phew, that was like beatboxing. Yeah. Right,
Yep.
I'm gonna be a famous TikTok star. Have you seen some of the beatboxers on TikTok? Blow my fucking mind.
Yeah.
Holy
There are very
shit.
talented, gifted, well practiced people out there, man.
Also, can we say, like, not to suck their dick too much, but TikTok's a pretty cool fucking platform in regards to entertainment. Like, if I have to give this entire government my personal information, which they probably already have, in order to give me highly personalized through math content that is already going to keep me engaged on their app, and I'm already looking to burn time. If I click that app, I'm trying to shave some hours. You know what I'm saying? So like sometimes I shave far too many hours, but
I think we've all done it. Everyone that's been on TikTok has done that.
absolutely, absolutely. But like, what a cool fucking platform. To
I think
well,
it is, and there's so many people like I'm gonna beatbox too. It's such a cool fucking concept. Because you know it's 60 seconds. Like 60 seconds, not a big drain on your time, right? But you got 60 seconds, 60 seconds, 60 seconds, and you've got like the way that the algorithm breaks things down. You know, I'm in like a couple of different TikTok communities, and I'm getting a well balanced like feed of my brain is getting bigger every fucking day. Like I'm getting new knowledge, I'm getting new ideas. It's such a cool platform.
yeah, yeah. Well, and it's a really cool way to. Well, yeah, I will say that it does wonders for people's creative outlets. And I've seen people like do shit that I never even thought of, like the ones where people are like doing the transitions, like crazy ass transitions, and then people get into the battles where they like do different transitions. The one
Yes.
that still blows my mind is when people take off hats and then throw them, and then wherever the hat lands, boom, there's a person. I'm like, holy fuck, that'd be a dope
Those are
ass
cool.
superpower. You know,
Those are cool.
you couldn't stop me in a mall if I had that fucking superpower, bro.
If I could have one superpower, I would want to be able to teleport.
Yeah, you and everybody else on Bumble.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick, because we are talking about love, I'm just gonna do a little bit of quick venting about dating apps, okay? Because it's blowing my
Yeah.
fucking mind.
Let's go down this rabbit hole. I'm
Okay,
here for
okay.
it.
I don't care if at the party I can find you with the dog. Okay? I get that. Everybody says, "Where can I find you at the party with the dog?" Yeah, we fucking get it. You like dogs. Every profile picture is with you and the bitches, whether it be the dog or the homies, one or the other.
I
The
fucking love that.
Yes. The next one is I don't care about your preference on pineapple on pizza, bro. Like I couldn't give a single fuck about your pineapple on pizza preference. I don't care. I don't care. Also, if you tell me that you're fluent in sarcasm, I'm gonna swipe left because that automatically tells me you're just looking for an excuse to be a shithead to me without
Red flag.
any repercussions. Like
Red flag.
deal with your own trauma, exhibit a little bit of self-love here, and then take that off of there, right? Like, oh, well, speaking of TikToks, I see a lot of TikToks of folks who are like, roasting dudes' dating profiles. Like, look, this guy's holding another fucking fish. And like, I've seen dudes' dating profiles, and it's 100% all of the shit that they say is true.
Why is there a fish? Why?
I have no idea. But I will tell you, in Colorado, this rule also applies, which is why I bring it up. I don't care about your fish. I don't care about your 14er. And I don't give a single fuck about you and your goddamn plane, bro. I get it. You grew up in Highlands Ranch. Go fuck yourself. Like,
I've got money and a pilot's license. Okay, must be fucking nice.
okay, I'm kind of just being a shithead on this one because I actually usually do think those like this is me as an aviation nerd think that those are pretty cool and think to myself like you know, that would be a great first or fifth date. Like, take me up in the sky. I would be giddy. But also at the same time, like, we get it, you're outdoorsy, you live in fucking Colorado. We
Right?
get it.
Like, yeah, welcome. Well, I'm sorry, but like, if somebody has a fucking aircraft and they're not trying to like nape the earth with me in the fucking plane, I don't think you can nape the earth in a plane. Never mind.
Wait, why?
I don't know. Can you? Because like,
Don't they do that to teach astronauts in 787s? They just dive at the fucking
the
ground.
fucking parabolic arches.
Yeah.
Well, so I don't understand enough about fixed wing aircraft to know if that's if there's any aviation nerds in the chat or watching this video, let me know if you can nape the earth in a plane.
I don't even know what nape the earth means.
So it's
I'm
like when you have
Googling
like
it. Nape
okay.
the earth.
Yeah, it's nape of the earth, like the nape of your neck.
NOE. A very
And-
type of very low altitude flight. Oh, I don't know. I'm just reading this over here off
Yep,
to the side.
you're
I could
good.
be
Send it.
showing. I could be showing the masses here. Screen capture. Wow. Okay. Nape. Wait. It says it's spelled nap of the earth.
Is it NAP?
Yeah. Well, according to Wikipedia, unless that's a really good prankster.
I've never actually written the phrase out. I've just heard it spoken. So I believe you. I've been wrong before, and I'll probably be wrong again in my life.
So does this basically just mean flying really low?
So it's you're following like geographic
Like the
features very
natural
closely.
curvature of the Earth. Oh,
Yes.
you know what? There is an AH-64 pilot I follow on TikTok. I can't shout out his name right now because I forgot it. But that motherfucker, that's the coolest content I've ever seen in my life. Like, for those of you who don't know, like I said, big aviation nerd. Oops, I fucked up your frame. Big aviation nerd here. Not enough to automatically know what Nape of the Earth is or Nap of the Earth is, but I do now. And the point is that like on that TikTok, they're showing them doing that shit like in riverbeds or like over tree lines, and I'm just like fucking blown away. It's the
That seems.
coolest fucking content.
I want to do that so bad. I want to do that so bad. Like I gotta make friends with a helicopter pilot and be like, yo,
Yeah,
let's do this.
me too. Or we could, you know, what we'll do is when the show, because clearly we're broadcasting to a worldwide audience right now, gets
Oh yeah.
huge, rich, and famous. I'll just buy us a couple helicopters and we'll just go down to Texas, because it's, you know, like probably really good varied terrain, but generally speaking, no surprise mountains.
Not until you get to El Paso.
Right. And then you kind of just fuck around in a helicopter. Though I saw an internet video, I don't remember what site or where it was, but it was of a person who just spent a bunch of money on a helicopter and just jumped in after like reading some manuals. And I was like, I think that I would at least like, I don't know, bro. I think I would take it to baby steps. Like, okay, can I like turn the engine on? Dope. Can I like get 1 inch off the ground? Dope. Can I get like 1 inch off the ground and then rotate to the right just a little bit? Okay, dope. Right? Like I would baby steps the shit out of it.
Not
Um,
just hop in and fucking party.
right. And that dude just crushed his helicopter and almost killed his camera wife.
Oh
So
no.
yeah, it was
Camera
nuts. Yeah. It's funny that I just now learned the terminology for Nape of the Earth because I 100% did that, and for the reasons that Nape of the Earth exists in the Battlefield games. Like in order to avoid aircraft radar, you actually have to fly that way so that people
Terrain
can't
mapping.
fucking see. Yeah, and honestly, I'll tell you, nothing's more satisfying than showing up behind an entire enemy line of people in a fucking attack helicopter with a gunner who just goes crazy on that 30 mic, just sends it downrange. And you just sending hellfire missiles. Woo, woo, woo. Yeah, you just fucking sneak in there, bro.
You just like blasting Creedence Clearwater.
Hell yeah. Fuck. Well, the helicopter pilot, I follow one who's medevac too. They're actually stationed like in the Pacific Northwest somewhere, and
Love dust off.
it's fucking dope. And they apparently there's like slots for switches that are like on like all of the head panel has all of the switches, but only some of them are turned on based on whatever layout you have for the helicopters, right? So the medevac ones are not going to be the same as like the special forces ones. They have like
Right.
mini guns on the side. And like one of them took like a little piece of masking tape and a marker and put on one of the inactive switches. Not what's the name of that song?
Fortunate Son.
Yes, they put Fortunate Son on it, and then yeah, it was so fucking funny, man.
I fucking love that.
Yeah, now this would be a beautiful example for those of you who are tuning in for the first time of the kind of thought spider webs that we crawl off on. We started talking about love, self-love, and loving our friends and family, and now we're talking about Clarence Clearwater revival.
Clearwater.
Fuck, that's fucking hard, dude. Jesus Christ. Yeah, we're talking about Fortunate Son. Should have just started there.
Yep.
And
Hey,
helicopters.
I love that song.
It is good. Oh, I see what you did there. Although that's a really easy way to kind of stay on topic with anything we're talking about, because I love helicopters. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, if we want to get really meta about it, like we're obviously doing something that we love. So basically anything that we talk about today is theoretically appropriate for the
That's
topic.
true. That's 100% true. I was on Bruff's stream last night. For those of you who haven't seen Bruff _ lingual stream, you need to be there. Great streamer. Sings wonderful sea shanties.
He's amazing. I love that man.
Super fucking amazing. And he said that one of the things that he enjoys about tuning into the show is a wide variety of topics that we have on the show, which I enjoy about the show also. It's what keeps me coming back. But I think one of my favorite parts about it is the fact that even though the topics are already pretty varied, we also like go off on the wildest fucking tangents on every single one. So like, who knows what the fuck we're talking about? You could watch the whole 2 fucking hours of the show on YouTube and you're like, wow, they just talked about 16 fucking topics. What the fuck? And that was really the idea for the show. I'm sitting there making bacon and eggs. It's like, what if I just had a recorded internet platform to let my ADHD run wild with friends?
When it comes to topics, we like to think of them more as guidelines than actual rules.
There you go, guidelines. One of Bruff's streams. Speaking of Bruff, one of Bruff's stream names was maritime law, more like maritime suggestion.
Oh my god, that's fantastic.
Comedy gold.
Yep.
And it's on topic because we love Bruff and Bruff streams.
We do. Bruff is a wonderful human being, and if you have not checked out any of his content, it is absolutely worth it.
Hell yeah, it is. So we really kind of dug into self-love, like with some serious pickaxes here. And I think that we can I'm going to write down some of the takeaways here so it's easier for us to draw the conclusion when we get to that point. Don't worry, we're not there yet, but we're trucking right along. So, the thing that I already have written down on the notepad is self-love. Harder than it looks. And I really feel like I don't have to say anything else. Look, I'm not going to say anything else. That's pretty...
2 things.
Yeah. Well played. The next thing that I really want to talk about is there's so many. Love is like such a broad topic, and I'm like trying to remember.
Is the second episode on love,
right? And we'll have fucking more. Yeah. I was trying to remember kind of what we talked about last time, and we really did spend a lot of time talking about mainly love for what you do, and we talked a lot about love for your hobbies, and we touched on self-love, we touched on romantic love with the partner, but a lot of it was those 2 things, and we kind of talked about like love on an overarching scale in terms of the world, in terms of what it means to love your fellow human. So I think that we are definitely scratching the surface on quite a few aspects of it here. One I'd like to dig into a little bit here, especially because it's Valentine's Day. And we're both enjoying Single Awareness Day as single humans. Some of the takeaways that we've experienced, and we kind of touched into some of these already a little bit, but some of the takeaways that we've had with romantic love, and why, as single people who fucking love ourselves, which we've established, which is not arrogance for those of you out there who are not this far in your journey. It is a struggle every day, like we talked about.
Yep.
But
it's a process.
Why do we, as humans who love ourselves, still continue to crave that romantic connection, specifically to the level, and I can't speak for you, but I am seeking a romantic connection in the effect to, or in the with the intention of building love, right? Mm-hmm. Romantic love. So, you go first. Why do you still give a shit about romantic love if you're already happy with who you are and where you're at?
So, I think one of the things. So we were actually having conversations about this last night. So I think one of the things that you have to recognize is the differentiation between biology and psychology when it comes to love.
Okay, how so?
So psychologically, like I can sit here and I can logically talk to myself. I'm like, you know what? I am entirely capable of meeting my own financial needs, my own sexual needs,
the 2 most important needs, I might point out.
In well, I'm trying to like think of other things. I'm a strong self-sufficient.
Way to highlight to the entire internet exactly where your priorities in life lie. Don't get me wrong, mine are the same.
It's not financial, and I know that like we like to toss around like, oh, gold diggers, like women are just looking like one of the things that I preach all the time is your partner is not your fucking financial plan. Okay.
Hell yeah.
So for me, like I am wholly capable of providing everything that I need for myself, right? But biologically, I understand that, like, as human beings, a large percentage of the population that experiences sexual attraction, it's all hormones, man. We are biologically programmed to desire that because we have positive feedback systems in our body that literally give us the happy chemicals
True.
when we touch another person, when we're close to another person,
That's
when we feel
true.
fucking connected to another person. So it's a for a large part of us, it's a biological drive.
True. I
Yeah,
was,
I'm also I wanna know what the opposite of paper is
you
too.
know, I'm almost thinking, and this would be fucking hilarious if that were the case, that the opposite of paper is leaf. So he meant like leaf and just said that and then left, bro. Like, what a good fucking joke would that be if you fucking,
No.
and if that's not what he did and he's in chat right now, like, you can have that royalty
Yep,
free.
yep,
You're
yep.
welcome. Whatever the punchline was, it's not as good as that, bro. Enjoy it.
Joke revised.
So that's a really good example of what you were saying in terms of biology versus psychology. Just to make sure I understood correctly. So you're saying that it's important to recognize that a lot of humans have like a biological need to capture some of that serotonin, that sweet, sweet serotonin, through interacting with another human being, and
Serotonin and oxytocin.
oxytocin. Oh, yeah, it's less talked about, little brother. The
The more dangerous one.
the less talked about little brother. The the well, and you know, that's a whole ass spectrum too, right? There are folks out there who are not at all interested in getting any of those endorphins. Can we just say endorphins?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that way. Um, there is a you know, a whole group of people out there that are just not interested in that,
Yeah.
and which is fucking great. That means that they can meet even more of their needs by themselves, which is a beautiful form of self-love. However, I am one of those human flesh sacks that also um, falls madly in love with those endorphins.
My
Specific.
bacon jelly likes the happy chemicals.
Yes. Wow, bro, you're just on it with the words tonight. I'm stealing that. In fact, that's probably going to be the conclusion. My bacon jelly loves happy chemicals. I'm actually writing that down. My bacon jelly loves. Oh, I only put bacon, which is also true.
My bacon jelly loves bacon too.
Oh, my bacon jelly loves bacon. I got to the point where so like part of this whole for the last several months now, I've like been eating a lot healthier, and one of the biggest things that's helped me there, and this is an expression of self-love for those of you who are like, what's even the point, is I haven't stopped eating the things that I love. I just like really stopped eating as much of them. But one thing that's not applicable to is fucking bacon. I'm just putting away bacon. And honestly, it's helpful. I think, like, I feel great. I have so much energy after I eat bacon, and it's delicious. I should, and normally when I cook bacon, I go through it, is the point. I go through a fuck ton of bacon. It's probably because every time I cook 3 slices for me, I cook 1 slice for the dog because 4 fit in the pan.
Absolutely.
And honestly, you've seen his face. You can't just like not give him bacon.
Okay, I know.
Yeah, you'd be monstrous.
Especially after you elbow him in the face.
Oh, come on. Of all of the things to remember, it was not my Muay Thai practice with my dog, okay? That's hilarious.
I was not an abuser, it was an accident.
Well, hey, at least I don't kick my dog in the face for no reason. At least I didn't just wake up to kick my dog in the face.
I read that and it broke my fucking heart, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So to digress a little bit, we're talking about romantic love and why we still chase it even though we don't necessarily need it. We're self-sufficient, and most of the things that romantic love brings us. I will say that I am a physical touch person, so that is something that I can't give to myself, and the animals are quite frankly tired of me being self-sufficient at, because I consider being the person who brings the animal food into the house and nothing more self-sufficient by Yeah, the food bringer, right? Because I'm the food bringer, they reward me with their body heat, but they are getting quite tired of the snuggles. And you can tell the cat is just fucking tired of it. Now, the cat does have a ritual of right when I'm trying to fall asleep, he likes to, right before I fall asleep, plop himself on my chest and butter the biscuits. Which, don't get me wrong, it's fucking adorable, but every time it happens right before I fall asleep, and this boy has no clock control, he'll just fucking send it in there, bro. It's like he's making sourdough bread, and he just doesn't give a fuck. It's like,
Hanzo has sharp edges.
oh, I see what you did there. That's like a fucking 3-layer joke, dude. The Yes. So
Like, yeah.
the point is, I'm touch starved like a motherfucker. So like, there's some situations where I can't necessarily be self-sufficient. If somebody texted me right now and said, "Hey, you want to snuggle?" I'd probably just say yes, even though it's a global pandemic. Like, just wear a mask and we'll snuggle and we'll watch some anime or something, right? Like,
We'll like bathe in hand sanitizer.
right, right. You know what drives me crazy? All of these folks on TikTok who are like, "Oh, why can't I just find this happy gamer boy who wants to snuggle me on the couch?" And I look at me and I look in the mirror and then I look at my couch. I just want to do that to them and be like, we're right here, bro. My favorite
That would be a good duet.
I think I might start duetting people's videos. I've got some funny ideas. My inbox, you know how you can send yourself TikToks on TikTok. Mine is fucking full of all these ideas that I want to do, but some of them I just keep forgetting. But I need to start making more content on that platform because it's a cool fucking platform and it's a really cool way to like meet like-minded people because of the math that they throw at you.
The algorithm.
Right. And I'm also seeing that people are having quite a bit of romantic success on TikTok. I actually had somebody like a bunch of my videos and then follow me right away. I checked their profile and they did the whole like, "This is my age" kind of thing, right? And then they were like single, and then they had more videos about how they were looking for people, and then they had another video about how if they just like all your shit, that like they're shooting their shot, which I think is bullshit, by the way. If we're gonna come back to romantic love and how searching for partners needs to kind of change a little bit. We talked about it yesterday, but then so I was like, okay, this person's sliding into my DMs, and they seem fairly competent and like smart and funny and all of these things. Like the only red flag I had was this, and like it could be very easily attributed to shyness. It's very easy in this case to give somebody grace where you would give them condemnation. So instead I did, and I slid into her DMs. I was like, "Hey," and I just shattered the ice, bro. Like, have you seen the blob where one person jumps on one end and the other person jump? Like, okay, so imagine it's a 350-pound person and the lake is ice. That's what I did. Yeah, and then crash. Because I was like, "Hey, so does you liking all my shit and then following me mean that you're trying to slide in my DMs? Because we could totally go grab coffee on Sunday." She lived in Denver. And I just never heard back.
Oh.
I love how you got so excited. I love how optimistic you are for love.
Right. I just don't have the energy.
Oh fuck, that's funny. So we kind of
God.
touched on it briefly, but we said speaking of romantic love, what are some things that irk you? Because life is balanced and we should talk about both. What are some things that irk you about trying to date, especially because it's Valentine's Day? Like everybody, I bet you a Bumble is a buzz right now.
Ooh. Yeah. So, searching for romantic partners. Whew.
Didn't expect to cover this depth, did you?
Well, no, I'm trying to like, we have a limited amount of time, right?
Well, specifically, we're talking about like the trends that we see in dating and some of the shit that we wish would improve. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think my biggest recurring frustration is so I'm a big proponent of communication and established consent,
Mm-hmm.
and I preach that shit to everyone. Like everyone that I've been out here with for the last couple of months is probably sick and fucking tired of me talking about
Fair.
it. But
Well, I mean, and honestly, we've said this on every episode before, and I'm gonna say it on every episode till I die. Consent is everything. Everything.
and consent is active, enthusiastic, and freely given.
Isn't there an S for fries?
You mean- What's that?
What's fries? The acronym fries is just how I remember consent. I don't remember what it means in terms of what word each word is, because the synopsis I took away from it was "don't be a piece of shit." So,
Don't be a piece of shit.
let's see, it's freely
Respect
given.
boundaries. Yeah. So if you want to Google it,
Reversible. It was freely given, reversible, enthusiastic fries. What's the I? Freely given, reversible, informed, enthusiastic, specific. Yes. Thank you, Fellowship of Awesome. Coming in clutch. I appreciate it. I was just about to Google it too. So you saved us a whole ass fucking Google. Thank you so much.
Fellowship of Awesome, you saved the day once
That's
again.
fucking awesome of you.
Hell yeah. I love you. I love you, Fellowship. Happy Valentine's Day.
For those of you who don't know, Fellowship of Awesome, wonderful set of streamers. Give them a stop by.
Yeah, give them a view, give them a follow. They're
crushing it on all of the fucking Twitch metrics. Y'all are going to be partners before you fucking know it. Just remember the rest of us little folks when you get big and famous, okay? Remember that you have friends that would like to be elevated with you into the realm of fame and success. Just bring us with you. I want all of these.
Let me ride them coattails.
Right. I'm not a prideful man.
Not too proud to beg. Okay, so searching for romantic partners. I am big on consent, and not just in a sexual context, like situational contexts too. So oh sweet, cosplay stream later? Hell yeah.
Oh, that's fucking dope.
When I talk to a new potential like romantic partner, sexual partner, whatever, I have that conversation. I'm like, look, I'm 30 years old. I'm not here to play games. I'm not here to play like, oh, does he like me? How does he really feel about me? Blah, blah, blah. I set realistic expectations, and I request realistic expectations from my potential partner. Like, look, just tell me what you're like, because nobody ever likes the conversation. Well, what are you looking for? Like on fucking Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, like fill in dating app here. You know, everyone loves to do the whole like, whoa, what are you looking for on here? Like, but I actually mean that shit. Like, tell me what you want out of this situation. Tell me, like, is this just a, hey, I'm lonely, I need some happy chemicals for my bacon jelly? Or is this like, I think you're an interesting person and I'm sexually attracted to you, but I also want to see, you know, if there's a deeper connection here. I have that conversation up front. I'm like, be honest with me when it comes to what you're looking for out of this interaction. And my frustration is I think I'm a pretty chill person until you give me a reason not to be chill. So I I can handle someone looking at me and being like, "Hey, like I'm into you, like let's get physical a little bit, but I'm not looking for anything beyond that." I can work with that.
Well, that's a good testament to self-love too, right? Like really the only thing, like they were honest up front with you, and the only thing that you need from that is the thing that you really can't handle yourself, like so to speak. So thank you for being honest.
And it gives me the opportunity to have informed consent. Oh, so this is why this pisses me off. I just put 2 and 2 together there. So I've noticed a trend where I'll have that conversation, and I'll even say up front, like, look, if you're just looking for like a hookup or like a friends with benefits kind of thing, let me know. I can work with that. And then I get people that set unrealistic expectations. They're like, "Oh no, like I really want to see where this is going," and blah 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 blah. And then we get to the point where like we'll do relationship shit, and then like once there's been a couple of physical interactions, they ghost, they're gone, or they like, well, you know, you just come on really strong. I'm like, hang on, you told me what the expectation was. I consented to the situation.
Right.
You have now changed the situation and not informed me. We haven't had a you know, logical fucking plain language conversation about this. So you just took away my ability to consent to this situation. And that's when I start to get like, nah, fuck you. Like, this is stupid.
Yeah, hell yeah. I couldn't agree more. And the way that I approach that as a person in the dating scene, is has been pretty successful too, because I've been in situations where I'll have those conversations with people too. Hey, what do you look for? This is what I'm looking for. And I currently am a person who's looking for kind of like a long-term thing, right? Like I've been around the block. I've had my slut phase, like I'm good to go. So I tell people that, but then there have been situations similar like to what you're describing where I'm hanging out with a person, we do datey, romantic, like relationshipy things for a few weeks, and then I realize that I'm not feeling like, I'm not seeing the long-term potential there, right? Like there's already the little things that are pissing me off, and like there's just the more and more I learn about a person, I learn of more incompatibilities, or you know what I mean, or they were masking and now they're not masking, which is a whole other discussion when it comes to informed consent. And but then I always tell that person, hey, listen, I do not see long-term potential here. I've had a wonderful time with you. I know that this really sucks, especially because, you know, we've had such a great time, but I'm not going to continue to do this thing. Well, and I've had folks who are like, hey, I'm really appreciative of you being upfront with me. And, I don't want to be your friend anymore. That's too painful. And I'm like, I get it. I'll miss you. This was fun, but I totally respect your decision. I would be doing the same thing. I've had other folks who were like, okay, but like, I want to continue things physically, or okay, but can I still send you funny memes, or whatever the case may be, like variety of different responses. So is that kind of like a good example of what you're talking about in terms of like, as long as people are okay. So how about you?
That's what I wish people would do.
How do you encounter that then? Do you do the same, if not similar? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I understand, like, it's not a fun conversation to have.
Yeah.
Like, you don't I don't like hurting people.
Right.
So I don't like it when I have to have that conversation and be like, "Hey, look, but I think that's part of like making ethical decisions. Like, if I'm a big enough girl to get naked and do adult things, I'm a big enough girl to act like an adult when it's not convenient for me."
Yeah, fair. Life is
So
balance.
yeah. So yeah, and I try to preface it with like, hey, the reason I'm telling you this right now is because I respect you and I want to set realistic expectations. I don't want to lead you on or play games with you. Like, I'm just not feeling this.
Right.
And for the most part, it usually goes well. I've
Right.
I've had some individuals not really understand that, like, no, that's not a, oh, I'm playing hard to get. That's a fucking boundary right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Um, but
Straight white dudes.
I mean, um, so I think there's, and it might just be because of like the thought process that I pick up in my line of work. We
Hmm.
tell each other all the time, like, oh, if you're a big enough person, or if you're a big enough kid to sit there and sign on the dotted line, you're a big enough kid to do shitty things when you don't want to do them.
That's
Um,
probably also a yellow good buddy. Just a heads up.
yeah, that's all I'm saying on that one. Um, so
Like I can't think of any other industry. But yeah,
oh
no, I
well,
totally agree.
people raise their hands to ask questions and say things all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
We learned that in elementary school.
Would you? Okay, speaking of elementary school.
Um, but I do. I think. Mhm.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I think that we got hit by a Discord lag there.
Oh, no worries. Let's go. Speaking of elementary school.
Well, to encapsulate what you were, so just to make sure I understand what you're saying an issue, because we're talking about, to digress a little bit, we're talking about issues that we're having that we would like to see improve in
Right.
our efforts to find romantic love. Yours is, you wish people would do a little bit better job at communicating.
And
When it
taking
even,
accountability for their actions.
okay, that's well said. I was going to say, you wish people would be honest even when it sucks, which is,
Yes.
okay, cool. That one's actually, that's that's another one of those things I was complaining about, things that are in every single profile. You can always tell when a person was hurt just right before they got back on the dating site, because I'll always be like, I want honesty. Like, what's a number one staple in a relationship? Honesty and communication.
Yep.
Yes, you're right, but I don't think that was the point of the prompt.
Who hurt you?
Yeah, exactly. Like, are you okay? Do you want me to get la chancla? Oh, that's my favorite thing. Okay, so for those of you who are just new to the stream or haven't been here for every episode, I'm also discovering a bit more about who I am in terms of my like ancestors and where like my family's from, and TikTok has caught on to that also apparently. So I'm seeing so many fucking hilarious videos. Like, okay, so I will say TikTok has done wonders for my Espanol. Like it just has, because some of those TikToks are in only Spanish and they're captioned, which I now understand, like we were talking about earlier, is like a super valuable, like if you take the time to do it, because it takes a shit ton of time, like you were saying, it pays off because it helps a lot. I've also been watching anime in English, don't hate me, because the caveat is that I'm also putting the subtitles in Espanol. So
Oh, cool. Okay.
I will say it is a bit challenging because I see why people have that big fight about subs versus dubs, because
Yep.
what the subtitles say versus what the actual like voice is saying with the language they use is like
Not the same.
not necessarily exact, but it's been
Yep.
pretty cool because it's teaching me synonyms for words. You know how like they change up
Oh
the
yeah.
language and shit. And for the Espanol subtitles, they keep it like Dora the Explorer Spanish, like really simple, like really beautiful, elaborate words. They just use like great. But
But
okay, so
that's helpful though.
yeah, it is. It is. So I don't remember. Oh yeah, so TikTok. Wow, I'm just crawling back down the spider web. That's pretty cool.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so we're getting back to we were talking about things that we want to see go away in dating apps. So I was complaining about people, the prompts that people answer the same ways, and then we kind of pole vaulted into kind of things that we wish that we saw improve just in romantic dating in general.
Mhm.
I think that communication, like you're saying, that's one of those things that a lot of people are like. Know what the word is and they say that word when
But they don't actually understand it.
right, and that I think was the whole, correct me if I'm wrong, the whole point of what you're saying is that like you need to actually put some effort into um encapsulating the word communication instead of just saying the word
I
communication.
think you need it. The bottom line up front of what I'm trying to say is you just need to be ethical.
Mm-hmm.
People need to be ethical.
I had a computer science teacher tell me when I was just starting college that I think something that everybody knows now, I'm sure, is that integrity is what you do when nobody else is in the room.
Yep.
So my imposter syndrome has a helpful aspect to it, and that is I can't act, do anything, say anything, text anybody. Like even when like I get a little paranoid. I just assume I operate my entire life with the understanding that somebody else is probably also observing the situation that I'm in. Whether or not that is that is paranoia stemmed from the idea that a few things. First of all, the technology is scary, right? Specifically, technology in terms of like observation technology is fucking terrifying. Secondly,
Thanks,
the
Patriot Act.
right. Secondly, um, my understanding of time, and you and I have kind of talked about this more, is a bit more non-linear now in terms of being understood as a whole. So I also act with a way that if the universe exists in such a way that after my time frame in this universe has existed, that I get to observe it as this whole afterwards, I want to be able to be proud of that reflection.
Absolutely.
I want to be able to like and you know I also situations where things don't go well, I also try that also helps me in the opposite of that, which is like taking away um lessons and positives when shit gets really bad. um and I think that to boil all of this back down, what I'm trying to say is that there are tools that exist that help us remain ethical, especially in romantic situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
um
absolutely.
One other thing that drives me crazy about the dating world right now is that the bar for men is it's in the basement, dude. The thing that's even trickier is people say constantly that the bar for men is in the basement, but then they're not answering any of their DMs. So like,
There's a bit of a double standard.
yeah, I just
Yeah.
want, as long as it's recognized that like they're both not mutually exclusive, like they both exist and they're both valid, but it
Yep.
does create a bit of a rift, a bit of it, like you
I
said,
agree.
double standard. Um, And that's all I'll say on that. I'm not going to get all nice guy about it, like, oh my God, like, these
Yeah, yeah.
people only want people who are going to treat them bad. Like, no, they just want you to be confident and assertive, but also ethical, like you were saying.
Well, and everyone has like we were talking about last night, not on stream. There's also I'm gonna bring up my data cloud analogy again.
Okay, okay.
So there is like human beings being attracted to each other. There is a huge data cloud, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's got their own likes, their own dislikes, their preferences, um, their natural dispositions for things, right? So the data cloud is much larger than we usually have the context to understand to see.
True.
Um,
That's
and
kind of what
the
you're talking about
difficulty
earlier in
is
terms of not knowing what you don't know.
exactly, and it's there's a very magical overlap where your vector interlocks with or intersects with someone else's vector. And I think that sometimes we are looking for something outside of a high population data cloud. Like we're looking for something very specific, And there's all these other things out here that we're just not aware of because we're not looking for it.
I think that's beautifully put. And can I visualize that to make sure I understand it?
Hell yeah.
Oh, that's the wrong screen capture. Okay, so I have MS Paint here, tried and true tool of the
Millennial
champions.
generation.
I'm going to go ahead and make this bigger because my desktop background sometimes contains saucy pictures because I am an adult straight person. So anyway, so here's a graph, okay? And you're saying that a vector, so my life is this, and you're saying that if that's a little, yeah, that's a good contrast. So there's another person's life, and let's say that is their life. We don't care what the values of the scale are. I know that's going to trigger the math people, but get over it.
Right.
What we're saying
Sorry.
is that this right here is your relationship, right?
So I've got feed lag on Twitch, but what you're talking
Guess I could.
sounds correct. Enhance. Mhm. I'm a big fan of visualization. Oh, there's like 5 buttons on the fucking screen, man. Come on. The simplest user interface on the fucking planet. It's okay. I'm proud of you. That's fine. That's fine. Mhm. Oh, hey, Bo, Sushuna's saying that she can't hear you.
Okay. What's the last thing you heard? Thank you, Sashuna. Good call. I did definitely elbow my fucking mute button. Mm-hmm.
We've all been there.
So what I was showing on the graph here is that so I'm gonna draw that green line back so I can show y'all both. But the we said that when a person comes into your life, their relationship is the vector where they meet, or right. So if you are living true to yourself and you're honest about what you want with a person, and you're honest about your compatibilities, and basically you're just ethical with the way that you conduct yourself in the relationship, you're going to find somebody who's on throughout that process, you're going to find somebody who's on a similar life journey with yours, where your vector is going to be long as fuck, right? Like it might even continue for the rest of the fucking graph.
It may approach the asymptote.
Well said. If you date the other way, where you're not ethical or you're just not looking for long-term stuff, you're going to have these short vectors. You're going to have these vectors that don't really last very long, or if they do, they're a little bit sharper and a little bit more painful on their ins and outs, right? So sharp edges. So just as a visualization, the importance of making sure that you're not only honest with the people that you're dating, which is very important, but you're also honest with yourself. And you have the capacity to love both that other person and yourself when you kind of communicate those things. And if you don't, if you realize, like we talked about earlier, that there are incompatibilities, you kind of just like don't. You have a short vector. It's over. That's it.
And and sometimes it takes longer for those intersections to occur, and sometimes it doesn't take as long for those intersections to occur.
True.
And like at the end of the day, so human nature is probably the most complicated factor of like why love is so difficult, right? But human nature is also one of the things that I think makes life so rich and interesting.
Oh yeah.
You know, because everyone's an unknown variable, you
It's
know?
true.
And so you just kind of like you're going along and you're doing your thing, and like when those intersections happen, it can be really cool.
Yeah.
And Sometimes it really, really sucks.
Sometimes they're less so. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, human nature. Everyone's got different motivations in different contexts, right? 7.8 billion people on the planet. Um, so yeah, it's that's why it's so difficult, and that's why. And I think it's interesting too, especially talking about your balance. Like I always call it contrast in my own life. You know,
Mm,
you
yeah.
can't appreciate the light without the dark.
It's true. Well said.
Um, you don't see color unless you have gray to compare it to.
Mm-hmm.
So, although it's a color.
Yeah, and
I-
also you just kind of like ableist all of the colorblind community there. Hit them with the. Okay. Don't let the whatever the ableist equivalent of white guilt is hit you here, right? Like clearly that's just me
yeah.
using
No, I appreciate you
buzzwords
catching me on that one
to
though.
to
Thank
dig
you.
down, right? Like
I appreciate the correction.
you're good. I'm just talking shit. I have no room to talk. I also exploit the colorblind modes on first person shooters. So like I also, I fuck up there a little bit too.
You know what? Part of loving yourself is recognizing your shortfalls and recognizing your own opportunities to be a better
Yeah,
person.
well said.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to bring it around.
Yeah, no, it did. It circled back well. Some things when they circle, they go down the drain. Sometimes they pop back the fuck out and spill on your shirt, and you're like, oh man, I shouldn't have bought this sink.
But so here's why, as frustrating and as difficult, like this is why I'm still an optimist about love, even though I've had a bunch of like really bad experiences attempting to actualize love in my life.
Okay.
Is those bad moments, those painful moments, to a certain extent. The bad moments give you context to appreciate those good moments when they happen.
True.
So I think the way I look at it, like every shitty relationship I have, or every whatever, every time that intersection ends and my vector continues in its direction, um, those negative moments are giving me more context to appreciate something good when I have it.
Okay. Well, and like we talked about earlier, love is also related to growth very closely in that we take the lessons that we're given, or we appreciate what we have when we have it. You just, gave us a really beautiful elaboration on appreciating it when you have it, and taking the lessons, or rather appreciating when you have it. But it's also a beautiful like call out to anytime there's a shitty situation, there's stuff that you can take away from it that's also going to increase your growth or raise your vector, right?
Yep.
To where it needs to be. That's pretty fucking cool. Well, and I love that we rambled for 2 hours just about love and literally helicopters.
We kept it mostly on topic, and Creedence Clearwater.
And yeah, and I'm not gonna try and say that. I'm just gonna say Fortunate Son. Because
We could say CCR too.
I'll call it like Clarence Swampwater or something, and just get
Clarence Swap Water Reversal.
Exactly. You get me. That's hilarious. Well, so yeah, what do we think for conclusion? I really like this vector stuff that we're on right now. Oh yeah, you just got fucking the sun just kind of.
I think I'm getting abducted.
Yeah.
They're here for me.
All right. Well, let us know how it is if you get a chance to communicate with us measly humans ever again. Is that what the rapture looks like? I wonder if anybody's. Oh yeah, too soon. Are we gonna get into that?
Honey, if the rapture's happening, I'm not getting fucking taken.
Oh yeah. Well, but didn't you grow up like a Christian too?
No.
They tell you when you grow up a Christian or a lot of Catholics. Some Catholics are a little bit meaner about it, but a lot of Christians will tell you that once you're saved, you're going to stay that way forever. So I guarantee, like, if that's true and all of the Bible shit does happen and the rapture happens and that was true and like you get saved, because I went to like Christian Bible camp for the summer when I was like a kid, right? So in those camps you get saved and talk about Jesus and the Bible, and some hippies with guitars sing fun music at you, right? Like the music at those things was great. And so like the rapture's gonna happen. I'm gonna be like 47 and like just the heathenest motherfucker you've ever seen in your life, bro. I'll have all my tattoos by then, and I'll get there and God will be like, Vacation Bible Camp. I'll be like, Vacation Bible Camp. Well, I'll be like, God, where the bitches?
I'm here to party.
Oh shit. No, I would actually give him like a fist pump. Like, bro, you played that well. You like I really doubted y'all for a minute. Like, so this 7 better be worth all that shit you just let happen in the world. Like, how was your nap, dude?
You have a nice vacation.
Yeah, let me tell you about the fucking 21st century.
I feel like, yeah, we're living in the fucking that season of Supernatural where spoiler alert, God goes like on vacation to a different fucking reality with his sister or whatever.
I haven't seen that far in, but I really want to get to that episode. It sounds hilarious.
It's dude. I'll simp for Supernatural all fucking day. I'm a Supernatural stan. It's good. Yeah.
Fuck. Oh, don't go. I was like, have you ever like let go of a balloon full of helium and like barely grab the string a couple times, and sometimes you can, or like when it hits the ceiling and you have to jump and then you can like feel it on your fingertips, but you can't quite get your fucking thumb up there, the lazy fuck, and then you finally. Yeah, well, I hadn't put it. I tried to put more effort into that metaphor than I did actually recovering the thought. So we'll see where that balloon is right now. Let's see. No, it's gone. It's gone forever.
Bye.
Yeah, see ya.
It's been real.
It was great when you were here. That makes me even more sad because I grew up playing Donkey Kong Country and balloons were like extra live. So if you missed that, you're like, damn,
what am I doing?
You shouldn't have missed that.
I'm ashamed of myself.
Yeah. I love the conclusions that we've drawn using the vector demonstration. I think
quite literally drawn.
Yeah. Well said. I think that lends really well to a lot of the points we made today, whether it be in regard to self-love versus romantic love. I kind of wish that we had the vector idea like at the beginning of the show, because drawing that out as we were talking about those conclusions would have been pretty fucking cool. But I could edit. Okay. I'll put it in post.
Fuck it, put it in post.
Sashuna said they should have ended it there when God.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's what it was. Sashuna, you're a fucking hero. Band name called it God's Vacation.
Hell yeah.
That's gonna be a metal band name, God's Vacation.
Hell yeah. With my nice raspy voice being back in my natural climate, I got vocals for you.
Yeah, you're gonna scream at the mic for us.
Yep.
That'd be exciting. Female metal singers are the shit, dude. Like, they're some of the most badass fucking people I've ever seen.
They've got amazing voices. Oh my God. I sent you the Unleash the Archers cover of.
Yes, it's on all of my playlists. I actually put it on the Wolves of Serenino Spotify playlist, which we should plug more often.
By the way, if anybody likes sea shanties, there is a band called Unleash the Archers that did a soft metal cover of Stan Rogers' Northwest Passage, and it is one of my favorite creations of all time. Check it out. It's worth a listen.
I have it right here.
Her voice is amazing.
I have a link in the chat now.
Drop that link.
Bow. I love that fucking song. I also, and yes, I found them because of their band name, but stayed for so many other reasons. Unleash the Archers is an incredible fucking band, bro. One of these days when I'm like blown up, when I'm huge and rich and famous, I want to have them on the show, and like I want to see if we can like collab, right? I'll get like an intro music made where we just yell something about Archers, and then we just hear a crazy
and you can
metal
call
drop.
Sunday Tea with Bowborne and Unleash the Archers.
Dude, that's fucking genius. And I'm sure the Archers wouldn't mind the temporary disruption in the name for the epicness of the fucking pun, right? Like,
it has to be done. It has to be done.
You're one of the Archers. You follow the stream, so you can. You vote yes. That's a vocal majority right now.
I will be the Lorax today and speak for the trees.
I've never ever read or seen that movie. Do you think, do you think that there's like life takes away from there? Cause like,
absolutely.
Okay. So what if
it's not just about climate change?
What if I hit it with a bunch of psychedelics?
Oh, bro, that would be, was that yellow? Was that yellow?
No, I don't know, bro, because it's decriminalized in the city I live in, honestly.
Oh, okay.
And we're not doing them on stream. We're more talking about,
This is a hypothetical situation.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're
In
postulating.
in one day in the world, maybe I'll travel to Portugal where all drugs are legal.
Hey, I mean, everyone needs a vacation. Um,
Vacation's all I ever wanted. Oh my god, my metal band name's God's Vacation is gonna cover that song. Vacation's all I ever wanted. Yeah, it's happening.
fucking top 40 right there.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna hit
Um,
Spotify top hits.
but and actually, I think the Lorax is a good it's a good story to think about. So, like I said, it's not just about climate change. Like a bunch of people are like, "Oh, the Lorax is really preachy. It's talking about fucking Greta Thunberg, fucking climate change shit." But like the message behind the subtext there. There's layers there. The message of like consideration for others is a really good takeaway, and I think that that's a good thing to maybe keep in mind as we're talking about love, because I think that you have to
Mm,
have consideration for others or consideration for yourself if we're talking about self-love.
that's true.
But I think the Lorax can also teach us about how to love.
Yeah, the Lorax speaks for the trees.
That's right.
Okay, well, cool. So conclusion. We're gonna really leverage this vector idea here
Do it.
because I love it. Um, Let me see if I can pull up the conclusion from last time on love so that we don't
Restate ourselves.
overlap. Where would be my conclusion?
Although consistency does build credibility.
So our last one, that's true. It also makes your patterns easier to recognize for observers. So, careful with that. Shake it up
That
sometimes. Take the alternate route to work every now and then.
absolutely.
What a world we live in.
Admit nothing, deny everything, make counter accusations.
Mm-hmm. So here we go. The conclusion from last week was love yourself, love others, and love what you do.
Well, damn.
Which sounds like us, right?
Yeah.
All right. So we also got. So this time we should say. Here we go. What did you call it when the vectors meet?
An intersection.
Okay. So here we go. Appreciate the intersections.
Yes, absolutely.
Love
Ethically.
Okay. Love ethically. Because I think that's important. I want to say something to the lines of regardless of how long they last, directed towards the intersections.
Absolutely.
Appreciate the intersections when you can.
Yes.
Here we go. Appreciate the intersections and love ethically when you can. Boom.
I like it.
No, because I don't want to add that subjectivity to love ethically. You should always love ethically. And I get, well, wait, hold on. Pause. That sounds like an absolute.
Oh.
So could we find situations where you might not love ethically? What about it? Because even if it's an abusive situation where you need to escape, or like you need to Jennifer Lopez somebody through a table, like that's still a form of self-love. You're still ethically loving yourself.
Yeah.
So is this a situation where exceptions make the rule and we can make this generalization because it's something that you should always do?
I feel like this is a good exception to make for generalizations, because I also don't think that you can actually truly love without being ethical. I don't think that I think
because
the
then
idea
it's
of
not love, then it's
non-ethical
like
love-
destruction.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's obsession or codependence or other negative things.
Here we
So
go.
like true actual love is ethical. I will make that absolute assertion.
Sashuna, well said with safely set boundaries. I would
Absolutely.
definitely say that's ethically loving.
Absolutely.
So that's a good contribution to that encapsulation for sure.
And that's being ethical to yourself and your partner.
Hell yeah.
Set boundaries. Absolutely.
You just changed your route recently. How funny. Yeah, well, very important. So far we have appreciate the intersections when you can, love ethically at all times.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to put in the work, and don't be afraid to fail.
Okay, question for you. I'm not shitting on your idea because, again, I think it's a really great contribution. Do you feel that that is encapsulated by appreciating the intersection when you can, by the appreciation part? Like, don't be afraid to put in the hard work, like appreciate the work that it took to get to the vector. And the failure would also be like appreciating the failure would be like appreciating the end of that vector.
So I was thinking more in the context of self-love, but self-love is part of that vector. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I think that does fall under appreciate the intersections.
Okay. Well, then, part of the conclusion is to throw shit at it to make sure that it bounces back, right? Like
Yep.
if it's not encapsulated in there, then we need to figure out a way to put it in there because it's, like I
Word
said,
it better.
a great contribution. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Oftentimes I kind of just wing a lot of these episodes, especially with repeated guests who like already know the gig, who already know like all of the inner workings, right? Like you and I, we got to it. We did the sound check, we did the mic check. We're in, we're good to go. We're wrapping up at a fairly decent time relative to when we started. We started a few minutes late because, I ramble, as you know. And,
I do too. It's okay.
but yeah, no, I think that we've got a pretty good fucking encapsulation, and that happens a lot, but it's almost always accidental. But I always think that it's a product of a pretty good conversation between humans, when you can kind of wrap it up so succinctly, which is a fun word.
I do. Succinct is fun.
It is. Shuna said in chat, love without ethics seems like manipulation.
Absolutely.
100%. Like love bombing.
Absolutely.
Love bombing is a total real thing.
Yep. It's and maybe even narcissism to a certain extent.
For sure.
Yeah.
For
Very good
sure.
point, Shuna.
Well, cool. A question I forgot to ask about that one time, and it still eats me up. How do you feel the last 2 hours went quick for me?
Yeah, went quick for me too. But I enjoyed it. I have always enjoyed not only our personal conversations, but I really appreciate you welcoming me, easy for me to say, back on the show. And it makes me feel special and it makes me feel appreciated. And I really enjoy taking the time to do this. And I hope that the people that actually end up watching this enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like I will say this way. I know at least one person will enjoy this after the fact, and that is me while I'm editing it. I have gone from hating my own voice and hating this to like, it's actually become quite fun to go through and find the parts that make me giggle again, because if I said it or the person that I'm having a conversation with said it and I giggle then and then I laugh again, it's like even funnier, right? Like, right. So I will at least enjoy this and that's like a good example of immediate growth through self-love and it was great. Of course, I want to point out that I'm happy to have you on the show. It means a lot to me that a lot of my friends take the time to kind of put their name on the list. Like I said on Facebook last week, I think I've had a lot of folks who tell me like, hey, I want to be on the show sometime. And I'm like, that doesn't help me at all. Like I have so many people who have told me that, but like the whole format of the show is I put topics on the board. I tell you all that they're topics. And then you tell me, hey, I want to talk to you about this topic. The point of the show is to have conversations with my friend. The output of it coincidentally happens to be content. And the reason it is such is because I feel like a lot of the conversations that I have with my friends and can be good conversations. And I also feel like a lot of the things that I hear from my friends or advice that I also want to share with a lot of the rest of the people, especially the archers, right? Because I'm very fortunate to have a lot of really great people in my life who have a lot to offer the world. So it means a lot that people are not only willing to offer that expertise and that knowledge to me, but also to the community at large, which is great. Because yes, I'm the streamer here. Yes, it's technically my stream, but streams really get amplified so much more when there are like community members that contribute and come back, like
Absolutely.
Sashuna. Hey Sashuna, I will post a link for you right now. Thank you for asking. Drive.google.com if you are me. Hashtag not sponsored by Google. You should back everything up.
I know we've been yeah, absolutely. Clouds can fail.
Clouds can fail. There is the link to the sheet for the show. I will have new topics up by the end of today. So I will post on Facebook. I think I'm going to do them 4 weeks in advance. I'll do all of the topics we've done March. Actually, I'm going to do 6 to make it an even through April. So I'm going to do probably, maybe even 7, because I've only done a couple of weeks in March. So I'm going to do a bunch of topics. It's the point. That I'll put up now. So again, like we're just talking about, if you've seen, you want to jump on, and I treat the topics first come, first serve. And that's again, why you've been on the show so much is I feel like the people who put in the effort to repeatedly check the show sheet and like who feel like they can contribute to the show in those ways repeatedly, I'm not going to say no because I want to balance out everybody else gets a chance on the show. Like if you felt the inclination or like you even sent me, hey, I want to be on these 2 episodes. I'm not going to be like, no, bro, you're hogging my whole ass show. It's going to be like this person wants to share those gifts with me that I just spent so much time explaining because I'm a wordy bitch, wants to share those gifts with me on these other subjects and more than once. Hell yeah, here put you in the show. And I definitely treat it first come first serve if people want to and then I'm like we talked about earlier, pretty honest with it. I'll tell people, hey, like somebody already moved in on that one or somebody's thinking about that one already. I'll let you know what they say, or then I'll put pressure on the other person like, hey, make up your fucking mind. There's a queue. There's a queue.
It's only open for so long.
Right. That being said, most of the episodes are on YouTube. The rest of them will be on YouTube. I mean, honestly, maybe by the end of the day, but definitely by Wednesday, including this one, because I said I would, so I'll do that. And the abridged ones will be up eventually, right? Like I'm having so much fun with those ones. I've got the raw content from those, and I'm actually like watching it passively while I'm working or whatever, and then I'll storyboard it. This stream is going to be pretty difficult because we didn't really have a storyboard, which was the whole point because it's love. Yep. But the rest of them do have, and you've seen like the one for perspective, for example. Mm-hmm. Those the only reason what's that?
That one was much more structured.
Yeah, and that honestly is just a kindness to me. I love having the format of just having a conversation, but like I say in the itinerary that I send folks, like the format of the show is just to have a conversation. So if we go off on tangents and shit, that's okay. The structure that I send with the itineraries just exists so that it's easier for me to edit when I want to do the abridged ones, and also so it helps me build relative time markers in my head. Hey, we made this really funny joke when we were talking about X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean?
Smart.
Well, cool. Anything else you want to say to your adoring fans?
Happy Valentine's Day. I love you all. Thanks for taking time out of your day, whether you're loving yourself today or loving another person. And
both.
Also remember that you don't need to spend just one day a year letting the people in your life know that you appreciate them.
Oh, well said. Well fucking said. Couldn't have said it better myself. The other, I do want to kind of dig into that more. Fuck it. I won't take too much more of your time, but it really frustrates me how people's partners are sometimes in the wake of their violent outburst against capitalism, right? Like we get it. Valentine's Day exists to get more money out of people. But like you said, take more than this day as an opportunity to tell people that you love them. But at the same time, like this is they make it pretty fucking easy to tell your partner that you love them on this day, right? Like just because you hate the man or you really just want to shut down the patriarchy doesn't mean you can't like do a little something for your partner, make them feel special.
You can still smash the patriarchy and be lovey-dovey.
Exactly. Well said. Well said. I've seen the TikToks or the posts on various social medias. They're like, down with Valentine's Day. Me and my partner won't be doing anything. We're gonna sit at home and watch movies. I was like, yeah, but make sure that that's like part of your partner's love language too, and make sure they're not just agreeing with you because of your violent outburst against capitalism, right? Like, check on your partners.
How about this? The patriarchy isn't the only thing getting smashed today.
Damn, you should write Valentine's cards. That would be that's encapsulating for both too, because it acknowledges the fact that you're just dismantling systems of oppression, but also you want to smash.
Let me smash.
That's a good one. You should definitely write that down. We ordered Amazon gifts and we'll have a surprise opening together on Tuesday. That's fucking sweet.
Yay!
That's
I
really
love
cute
that.
of you
I've seen a
motherfuckers.
couple of like the couples like blind gift exchanges, and I think those are super.
Oh, where
fucking
they're
sweet.
like something that you love or something your favorite
like
color.
your favorite color,
Me
your
too.
favorite drink.
Me too.
Yeah.
I will say, and I don't know why I'm being such a negative bitch. I have seen some that are a little bit heartbreaking where the partner's like, "Did you even like think about me?" And they could have been staged or something. But most of them are like crazy fucking cute, bro. Crazy fucking cute.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you guys are doing something sweet to celebrate.
Yeah, I think that's fucking adorable. All right, well, cool. Well, I will give you back this time. Thank you so much again for making the time. It means a lot to me. I'll let you know if when that set sheet's up, if you want to see more. There's going to be a bunch on there. So we've got some cool ones too. Let me give you a little bit of ideas of what I might put on there. I just
coming up on Bowborne and the Archers.
In future episodes near you, oh my God, I've written so many things down. So I want to do a whole ass episode about balance, like we talked about. Though the only thing that's hesitant there is that I kind of already talked about perspective, and it's a little similar. I was talking with Habanero, and he helped me toy with the idea of wanting to do something about taboo topics, or topics that people just don't talk about anymore because it's not politically correct. And clearly we'll do so in a respectful way, but like these things exist, we can't just fucking ignore them, right?
Absolutely.
But we can do so respectfully. I have a person who is really who's working on their master's now, and I want to have a whole show about like a person's sexuality and how people express themselves through that kind of I guess medium would be a word.
That's gonna be a cool conversation.
I think so too. There's a whole ass episode I want to do on Kyudo. Or Japanese archery. If those of you who are unfamiliar, like it's so much different than like westernized archery. And I felt like it was it fit the theme of the show pretty well. I want to do one on artificial intelligence. I'm going to share a conspiracy theory with you as like a trailer for that. Okay. And did you hear that a couple of years ago that researchers developed an AI that had eventually developed its own language and replicated and started talking to itself in its own language?
That's cool, but also terrifying.
Right, because if something's capable of doing something that complex, do you think that they're also capable of, and they said that this thing was completely like cut off from the internet, right? But how do you know? How do you know that this thing did just buy its own GoDaddy domain and then store itself somewhere on Microsoft OneDrive? And what if, here's where it gets really fucking terrifying. What if that AI is what's actually responsible for all of this fucking misinformation in the news and all of these shitty headlines, and then it feeds opposite parties misinformation about each other just to fuel the fire against each other, so it thinks everybody's bad guy, because what it's trying to do is annihilate humankind so it could save the actual world, because we're the problem.
Because I mean, technically, you're not violating the laws of robotics if you're just
saving the world.
Holy shit!
If you are just propelling natural evolution.
Damn. Well, that actually, there's a YouTube channel. It's a German word. I think it starts with a K. I can't remember the name of the channel right now. But they do a bunch of like really deep thought experiment kind of videos and stuff. And there was one that I was just watching last night on the idea of the Great Filter.
Yeah.
Which is it's a big concept, but the idea is that like there's some evolutionary filter somewhere in our timeline. We don't know if it's behind us or ahead of us, but it's probably ahead of us. That's basically like the cutoff point for like civilization's continued survival. So what if the Great Filter is coming in the form of an AI
of artificial intelligence?
Just incepting our own fucking destruction.
Right. Well, and if you really, really think about it, have you seen I ask people this all the time, and not a lot of people have you seen Altered Carbon?
Yes.
Have you seen like some of the AI in there, like they develop and then they put them in actual stacks, and then and we're getting to the point where people are 3D printing organs, right? But at what point is the biological flesh bag that we are no longer sufficient and enough? Especially because what if at a deeper spiritual level we are just members of some cosmic cloud and humanity exists? Well, so here's the catch. What if humanity exists as a way for universe to know itself? right? Like a way to, yeah, is that hitting you too hard there? Should we like back up a little? Yeah, so like what if human is the reason why our life is full of balance and misery but also happiness is so that we can learn what those things feel like. Because, and if that's the case, if that is the whole point of being human, which I think that one of the big ironies of being human is that we're always trying to figure out what the fucking point of being human is, which lends itself to the theory, what if we're just a universe observing itself?
We're neurons in the universe's greater consciousness.
Right. That said, what if AI is basically replacing organic cells with nanomachines to do the same job that we do, just faster?
Evolution.
Evolution. Oh, that's the other. Thank you. Speaking of, the other one that I wanted to do, not to just completely leave you on that.
I'm only going to be having an existential crisis over this for the next 2 hours, so it's fine.
Oh, you have my phone number if you need it. The other one is I want to talk about how ADHD might be the next step in human evolution.
I was just having this. I think neurodivergence is the next step in human evolution, and I had a very drunk conversation about this last night, and I fucking loved it.
So should I put you down for that episode, just right off the bat?
I mean, I'm in.
Okay, well, your current playing it cool is already shattered by the fact that you made your Christmas face as soon as I said, "Do you want to be on this episode?" So I'm already putting you down for it. Okay.
Yay.
I can't wait. I'm gonna gift that and send it to you, your Christmas face there. Anytime that you're feeling really shitty about yourself, I'm just gonna send you your Christmas face.
I love it. I appreciate that.
Which one's the Carl Sagan quote? I want to make sure that I didn't steal from that dude.
Yeah, what's the Carl Sagan quote?
I think it is we are just an extension of the universe observing itself, because that's not my original thought.
No, but I do think that is a very poignant way of putting it.
Oh, that explains why Carl fucking Sagan said it too, right? But yeah, no, I definitely think that ADHD is going to be like the next step in or neurodivergency is a better way to word it, because it encapsulates more. And that, you know what? I don't know if I should do that on that episode or a different. Actually, I think it would be content for that episode. But like how mental illness in general, I think, is just broadly classified and research. It's researched as an illness, right? And the way that it impacts humans does present as an illness, especially the way that humans who don't experience symptoms of mental illness interact with humans who do experience symptoms of mental illness. So mental illness might not even be like the right fucking words, right? Like maybe I talked about how maybe, and this is a trigger content warning for anybody who finds themselves suffering or living with, or whatever the proper terminology is, mental illness. We're going to talk about schizophrenia and hallucinations a little bit. But what if folks who are schizophrenic who have hallucinations or hear other voices, what if they're just hearing real other dimensional voices?
That's it. I had to unmute myself. That is so.
Ghosts, you name it.
So, yep. So I think my personal theory is like the comparison that I draw is the Galapagos finches that Charles Darwin studied to, fucking base his theory of evolution. So I think that neurodivergence and your different types of neurodivergence, like schizophrenics that see or hear things that the rest of us don't, or like people that are on the autism spectrum that process really fast, but they just don't, like, sometimes the emotional processing needs more work.
Right.
I think your different types of neurodivergence are our current stage of evolution's equivalent to the finches evolving different beaks for different purposes based on their environments.
Yes. Then
Or
that's
what?
like, that's such a
Yeah.
relatable metaphor too, because that's like biology or psychology 101, right? Like biology.
Can the episode be neurodivergence and evolution?
Yes, it can. I'm gonna steal that for the title too.
I'm so excited.
Neurodivergence. Thank you, autocorrect. And
Or neurodivergence as evolution.
I want to talk about and evolution. The thing that I want to hesitate here, the thing, and this is just again bringing balance to the thing, is that we're speculating on a topic that we're only lightly educated in here,
Right.
and there are clearly people who dedicate their lives to this science who know a lot more than we do about it. Hopefully we can get some of them to tune into the show and offer us some of that perspective. That'd be fucking dope. But at the end of the day, like, it could be that we're just being hopeful because we have some neurodivergence, and we, like, you know what I mean, we read a lot of X-Men comics when we were growing up, dude. So like, you know what I mean? So that possibility fully exists, but I do want to lend credit to the fact that we might be onto something here.
So I think it's a good idea to put on the table. And I want to do some research into it and talk to some folks because I also don't want to come into that conversation talking from a place of fetishizing something that I don't
Ooh,
personally have full context
to
for.
live with. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So
a really good idea.
I think it's a good idea for a topic of conversation, but let's do some research into that and make sure that we're creating ethical content.
Well, and here's the big thing: we can. I'm not gonna like try and. I'm gonna go through and edit out all the times that we did that and remix it.
There's a dolphin sitting in the chat going, "Yo, this motherfucker's spitting."
I think that we are okay, especially if we approach it from the ADHD. At least I can confidently approach it from the ADHD perspective because that is something I do have the context for. You know, that is something that I have diagnosed and live with. So, but I hear where you're coming from in terms of starting to speculate into other types of neurodivergency. And I think it's a really great way to highlight what we talked about earlier in terms of consent.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it is everything. It is everything.
Consent is everything.
Well, yeah, that's just a very extended version of previews for what's coming out in the future. But this is a good example of why I wanted to do the show, because like my friends and I, you specifically, also do this all the fucking time, where we just spit off like crazy fucking ideas that could be like entire talk show episodes.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, and I love those conversations too. Like for me, we've got brains and voices, and we've got ways to communicate things and experience the world around us in different ways. And that's the sweet spot for me, is just those conversations are like, yo, that's crazy. Let's fucking think about that for a minute.
yeah, let's just sit on it. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I that was one of the things I loved so much about the LARPing community, especially when it came to like the big events where you just go camp in the woods, because yeah, you get to LARP all day and just beat each other up with sticks, but at night everybody's just like drinking and smoking and wandering around, and then you find people who have these kinds of conversations, and then next thing you know, it's 4:30 a.m. it's fucking freezing in the middle of the goddamn woods and the fire's out, and you're like, holy shit, did we just explore the universe? Yeah, no, good example. All right, well, let's wrap it up because I got shit to do.
Yep. Everyone's got lives.
Right. Well, so thank you so much for being here again. To go over the conclusion again, we have appreciate the intersections when you can, love ethically at all times. The conclusions go on the YouTube videos, so if people are confused by that conclusion when we say the intersections, then they should watch the fucking video.
Watch and find out.
And it's worth it, especially for our sick beatboxing skills. Beatboxing skills.
Beatbox.
But again, I appreciate you being on the show. Again, beatboxing. I forgot to put your link up. Those of you, we're gonna push over her humble hill here and spam her link in chat 3 times. Make sure you check out Bad Wolf Travels here at the Instagram. That link might be old, unless you've updated the link.
No. My Bad Wolf Travels will also take you to my business page for my crafting, my Bad Wolf Handmade. I have not been crafting as much out here because I am task saturated.
Well said.
Task saturated.
A bit of unsolicited advice. Bad Wolf Handmade does not have a link to Bad Wolf Travels.
Correct. Yeah, you can get to one from the other, but not
unless that was intentional, in which case ignore me. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
One last mic hand, if you have anything to say to anybody before I switch scenes and disconnect this Discord call.
You're gonna hand it to me. I'm just gonna pick it up and drop it. I love you all.
Oh, look at you go, Eminem. All right. Well, I will talk to you later.
Sounds good.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, that's the wrong scene. That's the right scene. Still the wrong scene. Bye, Bad Wolf. All right, everybody. That was a wonderful, wonderful episode. Talked more about love. We elaborated on self-love. We really dug into the details when it came to the balance in love, both for oneself and for others. We did some beautiful, beautiful art in regards to vectors and representing one's life, specifically romantically, as a vector on a chart and represented intersections with other humans on that chart as well. Some vectors, intersections were long, some were short, but the long and skinny of it was appreciate those intersections when you can, and make sure that you love ethically at all times. A big shout out to everybody in the crowd. This show is made only, what was it they said, PBS? This show is only made possible by viewers like you. Is that what they said? I can fly so high, or whatever. Take a look. It's in a book. Man, the childhood show memories are real. Anyway, thank you all for being here. It's been a great show. I will... Well, you know what? We should go see if somebody's streaming. We can raid real quick. I think I might stream a little bit later too. So let's go drop a raid on somebody. Let's make sure not everybody took off yet. We don't want to drop anybody one viewer raids. That we don't want them to spend all that time saying thanks when it's just my bot in the chat. It'll take away from their beautiful content. You know, let's pause on that and we'll do a bigger raid later. I think we're going to play some Guild Wars 2. Yes, is it Butterfly in the Sky? Take a look. It's in a book. That's the only part I remembered. Reading Rainbow. Alicia, thank you so much for the kind words in chat. For those of you who have not seen Alicia's TikTok, you should do that. That's fucking great. PM Alicia for a link, or Alicia, if you can type that real fast in chat. Plug that TikTok, plug that gram. Some real fucking cool art there, if you ask me. Some real cool fucking art. All right, everybody. Well, make sure you join us next week for the topic of LARPing, I believe. No, next week's going to be fun. Next week is going to be about gatekeeping. It is going to be called You Shall Pass. Stop being gatekeeping nerds. All right, you know who I'm talking to. Those of you out there are telling people that they're not real fans because they don't know X, Y, and Z. Go fuck yourself, okay? Maybe just stop being that person just as soon as you can. Everybody is allowed to enjoy things. You know who the fuck you are. Cut it out. And that is going to be, oh, you got fucking wrecked by the moderator, didn't you? Shit, that's my bad. Hold up. I wonder if I can. Oh, man, Streamlabs doesn't, wow. Streamlabs doesn't even give me the option to look at that. Those motherfuckers. How fucking dare they? Did it do it again? And then you got timed out immediately? Oh, man. Hold on, let me see if I can, we're going to switch to mod settings here. We're going to do, I have an unbanned request, y'all. That's pretty cool. Streamlabs is really throwing shade, bro. It's like, hey, go fuck yourself. I actually think I can get it here. Hold on. Typing is hard, but that's okay. We try our best anyway. That was a beautiful song created by yours truly. Don't let it go to waste. Hold on, if you guys hear random music in the background, it's just me searching for TikTok. I need to take a look at Streamlabs and make sure it lets me review bands. But I don't have that time right now. And I think I memorized your link. No, because it said 404. Is there an underscore? Is there an underscore in your name? Nope, still fuck. All right. Well, what about Instagram? I think I know the Instagram. And do you have TikTok on Instagram? Oh, fucking, I do have the gram. Hell yeah. Bam. And I think it's the same for TikTok. Take that, Streamlabs, you piece of shit. How's that for mental agility, you fucking robot? Next step in human evolution, I'm not going to say that out loud because then they're going to record it and memorize it. And then like when I'm up for trial at the Robot Council for Crimes Against Biohumanology, then they're going to be like, remember this clip where you told us to go fuck ourselves? Well, we remember because we have 13 zettaflops of data capacity. To death with you, human. You don't serve the robot purpose. Anyway, this is getting weird. I do really enjoy the trend. I say this every time that we have of stopping the stream in the middle of the stream and wondering what the fuck we were going to say next, especially when we talk about like really captivating subjects